One indiscriminate day, the world was plunged into catastrophe. People were forced underground and had to rely on the vast subway system to survive. This is how the story of Metro Royale begins. And so, welcome! After the catastrophe, the world was changed forever. New buildings popped up all over the surface, and a myriad of factions no one had ever heard of before sprung forth. The world underground kept developing, growing increasingly complex even as danger lurked in every corner. Some areas even saw the arrival of never-before-seen monsters. To survive in this harsh environment, you must arm yourself and gear up, scour the world for supplies, and eliminate enemies or their loot. Then make your way to the return point and evacuate within the allotted time. After evacuating, you can exchange your on-hand supplies for wealth to purchase even more advanced weapons and equipment. Become even stronger. In times like these, people will do anything to gain an advantage. That's why, when you're out collecting supplies, besides looking out for the various factions, stay vigilant against other players' attacks. If you get eliminated, they'll be able to loot your supplies. However, don't be discouraged. In this place, you'll have like-minded comrades to support you. You will experience the hardships of growth together as you gradually transform into mighty heroes. Are you all ready to face this dangerous yet thrilling new world? Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing Metro Royale modes to help you get to know the features and gameplay of each mode. In Metro Royale, there are 4 modes: the Basic Maps Basic Mode and Undercover Mode, and the Advanced Maps Advanced Mode and Assault Mode. In Basic Mode, players can open crates or eliminate enemies in the map to get supplies and loot, then reach the return point to evacuate and take home the loot. Basic Mode can be a great training ground to help players get familiar with the map environment and resource allocation. And if you don't evacuate safely, no need to worry. Although being eliminated in Basic Mode will cause your supplies and loot to be dropped, you won't lose your equipment. Activating Undercover Mode requires an Undercover Agent ID. Players don't need to bring their own equipment, as they will be undercover and disguised as bandits in the map. Bandits in the map won't initiate attacks on players. This allows players to freely travel between different areas, open crates to collect supplies, without bandits getting in your way. But if players actively attack and eliminate a bandit, their identity will be exposed. Do keep in mind that undercover equipment is weak, so stay vigilant against other players. Activating Advanced Maps requires a certain loadout value. Compared to basic maps, advanced maps are more abundant in supplies and have more diverse gameplay. Radiation zones can only be found in advanced maps and are full of supplies, which attracts lots of players. Many enemies are also stationed there, making for intense combat. Players eliminated in advanced mode have a certain probability of dropping their equipment, leading to high risk and high rewards. Activating Assault Mode also requires a certain loadout value. When entering Assault Mode, players don't need to bring their own equipment and will enter a match that is already underway with other players. Enemies in the map won't initiate attacks on players, but players that actively attack and eliminate them will have their identity exposed. Players eliminated in Assault Mode won't lose the equipment they had before the start of the match, and players who evacuate safely will obtain additional rewards. And since advanced maps are abundant in supplies, playing Assault Mode is a great opportunity to cash in on the low risk and high reward. That's it for the 4 Metro Royale modes. Choose the mode that best suits you and enjoy the fun of different modes. Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Frontline Confrontation map. Frontline Confrontation is a Metro Royale map suitable for rookies. This is where the Steel Front and the Cobras once fiercely fought. Members of both factions have remained even after the ceasefire. Due to the urban areas of Frontline Confrontation being relatively spread out, there is a lower chance of encountering other players when collecting supplies. The overall pace of this map is relatively relaxed. However, the terrain being mostly flat results in a very open view. Most areas only offer trees or rocks as cover. Thus, you'll need to be extra careful of enemies when moving about and evacuating. That's why, many players opt for the underground routes. Frontline Confrontation has 5 underground areas, 2 subway lines, a tunnel, a storage vault, and an armory. Be aware that enemies hiding in the dark underground areas are difficult to detect. Those who wish to safely explore the underground areas should bring a night vision helmet, night vision goggles, or a thermal sight scope to see enemies in the dark. Since Frontline Confrontation doesn't have a radiation zone and urban supplies are spread out, those wishing to collect supplies quickly can go to the underground storage vault connected to Battle Line. After scavenging the surface, head deeper underground to search for more supplies. Furthermore, Frontline Confrontation has 2 password-locked doors, located at Tribe and Yasnaya PD. They must be opened using password letters of the corresponding color. Password letters are commonly found in the file cabinets or file packages. The supply crates behind the password-locked doors contain valuable items that can be sold and are important resource points. Of course, you can also challenge the bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the Frontline Confrontation map, bosses also randomly spawn. These bosses have high health and varied attacks. Before challenging them, make sure to have enough ammo and consumables. When fighting a boss, utilize the cover of your surroundings or move quickly to dodge attacks. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Frontline Confrontation map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. The old Blockade Zone was formerly a military-restricted area, but now 2 evil forces divide the land. If Frontline Confrontation could be considered as a new player's tutorial, then Old Blockade Zone would be their first real adventure into the underground. Old Blockade Zone is more abundant in supplies than Frontline Confrontation. However, accessing the Old Blockade Zone's advanced mode also has a higher loadout requirement. Old Blockade Zone is a dense urban area with tightly packed buildings. While collecting supplies, it's common to encounter other players, so don't let down your guard while exploring. Of course, you can also move around via the underground routes. Although Old Blockade Zone only has 1 subway line, it's vast and complex, connecting multiple areas of the underground. Of those areas, the deserted base is a dark zone. Dark zones have lots of supplies, but are also shrouded in danger. Night vision equipment is a must. Continue following the subway line to reach the Radiation Zone. The Radiation Zone has the best rewards, but also the most risk. It contains valuable supplies, but is full of radiation and danger. When entering, be ready to face radiation and enemies. Besides the fast procurement of supplies in the Radiation Zone, Old Blockade Zone also has 3 password-locked doors, blocking you from some high-value sellable items. They're located in the barracks, snake pit, and the underground garage. Password letters of the corresponding color must be used to open the door and obtain the supplies. To obtain better supplies and equipment, you will need to challenge and eliminate bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the map, there are also a few points that randomly spawn invasion bosses that provide more opportunities to obtain equipment. That's all for this intro to the Old Blockade Zone map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Misty Port map. Misty Port was originally a small portside town with a pleasant climate, but a few incidents left it a desolate area that is now restricted. Only 2 major forces remain, competing for resources. Misty Port's main activity area is 1,700 by 900 square meters. It has rich and complex terrain, and although the urban resource points are scattered, there are many zip lines around the map connecting to the subway line, allowing you to get around quickly. Because of this, Misty Port's overall battle pace is quite fast and intense. The 2 boss spawn points act as gathering points for battles. Compared to other maps, Misty Port's underground isn't as dark and night vision equipment isn't as necessary. Although the subway line is very long and spans the entire map, those wanting to quickly collect supplies will have to go to the Radiation Zone, the mine warehouse. The mine warehouse is located in the upper right side of the map. Many mutated enemies lurk there, and the large warehouse lab at the center randomly spawns a mutant boss Variant F who uses fire, or Variant P who spews venom. These mutants guard the warehouse's valuable supplies. Compared to the two previous maps, the high-value sellable items in Misty Port are more common. To quickly get these supplies, you can skip opening crates in the radiation zone and head to the 3 password-locked doors instead. Obtain password letters of the corresponding colors to open them, and obtain the loot within. There are 2 fixed bosses in Misty Port, Firejoy and Fire Roy, that use fire attacks. When challenging them with teammates, spread out as much as possible. Also, be aware that there is chance in each match for the bosses to become reinforced. The bosses can then transform into special bosses that use drones and shields, Handsome Jesse or Handsome Pete. When facing off against them with teammates, make sure to focus your fire. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Misty Port map. Go explore it yourself.
Introducing PUBG Mobile's Metro Royale. Aside from the classic Battle Royale mode, now it also includes the Metro Royale game mode. Metro Royale tests players' shooting and evacuation strategies. Make sure to load up your inventory with equipments, ammunition, and healing supplies before entering the battlefield. There are 2 extraction points on the map. Plan your route strategically to maximize the extraction of your loot and return safely to the lobby. The main objective will be maximizing the loot value before heading to the extraction point within the time limit, as the loot will carry forward for your progress in future games. There are different types of unique bandits, ranging from normal bandits to snipers and cobra bandits. Make sure to defend yourself from other players too. Survival should be your first priority, as all current inventory items will be lost upon elimination. Buy various weapons, armor, attachments, and advanced items from the merchant in the black market to upgrade your loadouts. Progress will be carried forward, which can continuously enhance the strength of your equipment. Choose the map selection at the bottom left side. Currently, there are 4 maps with unique areas, enemies, and interactions for you to explore. Gain access to advanced mode as you progress, where there are more challenging enemies, higher tier loot, and access to the dangerous radiation zone. The new chapter of Metro Royale introduces a new mode called Zombie Uprising, featuring zombies in place of bandits, significantly more dangerous enemies, new weapons, and higher tier loot. There are many new zombie bosses introduced, each with their own unique characteristics. Keep an eye on the map, as bosses will spawn throughout the game as night arrives. It introduces a day and night system where nighttime exploration becomes significantly dangerous with increased mobs and boss spawns. Stick with your team.
Good day and welcome to the PMSL Southeast Asia Metro Royale. It's Choo alongside with Contra, bring you all the amazing action as we're down to our final group stage week to see who will make it to the grand finals.
And so far, I think we're kind of clear when it comes to the names. Some names will be in the grand finals, which are going to be next week, so make sure you guys stay tuned with us. But we get to know the rest of the teams that will join. Of course, FLS ID will get into the grand finals. Who will be the other 5 to join in for the grand finals? Only top 6 will make it through, and all down to today.
That's right, and it's time for them to put the pedal to the metal and get as many Metro cash as they could to be able to win some of all these runs. So far, only FaZe IDs have been looking rather convincingly to be securing big ticket items every single round to get themselves high up there. So other than that, we want to see who else is going to be perhaps joining them into the grand finals, where that means there's about 5 more slots remaining. So we shall find out as we will have our groups take it all the way to the very final game. So Choo, we've definitely seen a lot of interesting action coming from yesterday's run. And today, of course, there's definitely going to be perhaps something even more special. And let's take a look at the schedule. And if you guys are here for the first time, we're already down to our final week of the group stage.
Yep, week 3, which marks starting from yesterday, and today we're in the 1st of September. Happy September, everybody. And we have group C, D, B, D, then B, C. When it comes to the map rotation, each group rotation will consist of 2 maps, starting with Arctic Base. Then we're going to head over to Misty Port. Don't forget, when it comes to the grand finals, it will be on the 7th of September. So make sure you guys got your calendars marked. And we have invited teams before. You guys don't know how many teams will be in here. There will be 12 teams. But when it comes to the point system, loot value-wise, we're going to have preload value, the same value for every single player. And when it comes to the point of elimination, 300 points per 300,000 points per elimination of each of the player, with the bonus weekly points as well. And so far, FLS ID, the only one that actually get 20 points 2 weeks in a row.
That's right, and we're just down to this final week for teams to really play catch up, and we shall look into the standings later on, but they are playing for a lion's share of $10,000. That's a plentiful of money, and I'm pretty sure that FaZe ID is looking forward to do even better into the grand finals. But I believe that there definitely will be challengers coming in from even names like FaZe Clan or so, but most often than not, whether if they make it to the grand finals or if they don't, everybody walks away with a little bit of cash.
Yeah, speaking of the cash, also don't forget that each match will add in $50 when they actually won the map. And when it comes to the grouping, we're going to have Group A, B, C, and D. There's going to be 3 teams in each of the group. We have for today, starting off our day, is going to be Group A, Prime, MetroMini, FaZe Clan will be fighting against Group D, Sam9, MetroCeria or MCR, and ESTIR the Strong or ETS. Speaking of these 2 groups, Yesterday, we saw a lot of brawls coming out from Sam9 as well as FaZe Clan. Now, can they finish off strong when it comes to the first rotation here?
Yeah, we shall find out in a moment's time. And if you guys are brand new to the Metro Royale mode, what it really takes to win the round is to really strategize how do they secure maximum value of loot possible. And they could also go in for multiple battles to eliminate the competition so that there's going to be a whole lot more supplies for themselves. And on top of that, there are bosses that they will have to take down to find those high ticket items. And that's pretty much about it. As each respective map, they will be playing with specific loadouts, as we're going to be diving in for our first map, which will include some of the weapons as well as items on your screen.
Yeah, we're starting off with MK14, also with AK-47, all equipped with a full attachment here, as well as a Vassal level 6. I know it's going to be the unusual if you compare it with Battle Royale, but we need more pockets because it's going to be all about looting and value to be translated to points later on. So don't worry about the weapons so much because everybody will be having equipped with the same gears. But when it comes to the overall rankings for now in the final week, we do have FLS taking the #1 spot still. But when it comes to gap, not as much as before because FaZe Clan and nongYing can put up a bit of a fight when it comes to the final week here.
Yeah, the numbers are looking rather close as well. Meanwhile, Sam9 is currently at that 7th spot. They will need to try their hardest to cut into the top 6 to make it to the grand finals, or should I say, at least position themselves a lot better heading into today's matchup. So any form of mistakes will be very costly for some of these teams out there. Meanwhile, there are also chances for even Prime, Arkong. It's going to be a little bit far of a stretch, but hey, a good round could absolutely fix that. So we'll definitely have to see which one of these teams will be able to make it through, as these are our group stage matches for today.
Yeah, it will be a majority of Group D and B playing here today. If you happen to be Team Mantap, Esports, nongYing, Sam9, MetroCeria, and ETS fans, this is going to be your time to actually put some morale boost for them and cheer for them as well, because by the end of this round and today, we're going to get our top 6 for the grand finals next week, which you're going to get to see if there's any teams that coming and extraction out of the map will be still late, or will they finally get the mode of the Metro Royale by now?
Yeah, I thought that after 2 weeks of action, we'd come back here in the third week expecting teams to be able to really have smooth extractions, or if they're still alive in the match. But, you know, yesterday it was a little odd that Prime, despite them managing to set up that perfect ambush to the tail end of it all, but they couldn't really get out just by a mere 5 seconds. So they really have to always keep watch on the time. And I mean, there's 4 members, right? At least one guy will always be calling out, hey, there's only 2 minutes, there's only 1 minute, oh, there's only 10 seconds left on the map.
Yeah, I think most of them are a bit too distracted with whatever loot that has happened to be in front of them in the very last minute. And speaking of strategy of this Metro Royale so far, if you guys happen to be creative, there's so many ways to actually play this one out. We've seen a couple of new strats coming out from all the other teams, including even nongYing that used to play such aggressive brawl before, like Battle Royale mode all the way. But you know what? They show us a different side of them when they got their fundamentals right when it comes to Metro Royale, but also when it comes to, don't forget, Fellas ID yesterday. They're not happy when their first round being judged by so many teams and they're being targeted down, so they were not happy. And what happened afterward? They got 12 eliminations and got the entire map for themselves.
Yeah, it's a hefty amount of points that they managed to get on those rounds where the map was absolutely owned by the likes of Fellas ID. But here we are, as we get into our first map, we're going to be moving into Arctic Base to kickstart our final day of the group stages. And of course, the grand finals are drawing close, as it will be in a week's time. So let's find out who will be sitting at the top as we kick off 7-9. They are starting off over on the north side. This could be a decent passage for them to get to Missile Silo.
Yeah, but as per usual, I assume there's going to be a bit of a fight against MCR and also Sam9. Speaking of Missile Silo, it's going to be the main radiation zone for all the teams trying to push last minute for the numbers, yeah. Because we do know when it comes to Arctic Base, you can loot up to almost 20 million worth of value if you know how to look for it. So Mr. Silo will be one of those hot spots. And also when it comes to Mr. Silo, if there's one extraction point on top of Mr. Silo's place, I assume there's going to be a lot of teams trying to venture out into there because, well, you don't have to go other places to loot up. But there's also chances that if it's okay if you don't want to go for the brawls, just play from the indoors of the surface area. It's still quite a lot of value of a loot as long as they rotate it fast.
True enough, as quickly as they could get, they will get the first mover's advantage. And overall, 7-9, they managed to take down a couple of commandos throughout their way inbound. So things are looking pretty clear for 7-9 as well as, of course, Mantap that's still on the outskirts. It won't be taking them far too long as they're just taking careful measures to be moving into the area where it will give them the highest amount of loot. While, of course, when we take a look at the teams that are involved in this specific groups, I guess like the titans of this matchup will have to be 7-9, FaZe Clan, as well as ETS.
Now, maybe Prime will surprise us. Who knows? I mean, no offense for MCI and Moms, though, because they always had this very unlucky round of bumping into other teams and then last minute being wiped out. But, I mean, maybe they can prove us wrong as well. Who knows, right? Because it's going to be last day. Everybody wants to push as much as they can.
True enough. And then, of course, overall, looking at their way of play, I would say MetroCeria as well as MetroMini, they are playing rather passively on the outskirts, which doesn't really see them getting out of the game with the highest amount of loots. Therefore, I guess this time they will have to put everything that they've got. And speaking of which, FaZe Clan already in the direct center of Missile Silo, already landing shots at ETS. Sphinx quickly gets down on the ground, and that's where the Molotovs are being set right here. Songhai trying to go in for the revive, but Kim Tony absolutely pressing on. This is going to be a tough situation for the members of ETS who have just arrived at the scene.
Sakura coming out from the back. Look at the nade being prepped up. Waiting for the nade to be dropped down on ETS. Down high. It's not getting this right for now. Then where are the rest of ETS? There's only two of them here with Sakura finish off from an off angle. That's going to be heavy casualty on the side of ETS. The rest of them still at the back trying to loot up. Unfortunately, I think it's best for ETS to just give away Missile Silo now because if they commit to this fight, I don't see anything, any good outcome on the side of ETS for now.
Yeah, I absolutely do agree. And you can already see the two members of ETS, they bailed out of the situation. They went back into the underground passage. So they're burning a lot of time not looting that plenty of points. And losing two members like that absolutely will hurt their chances into putting everything in the bag, despite, you know, having such heavy casualty. At least they still have two members to be playing out. So hopefully they won't be leaving this game empty-handed because there's bound to be more teams that will try to travel through the underground passage. One such team probably could be MetroCeria, but they're still on the outskirts. They will take their sweet time. But from what Swerve, they're already at 500,000 looting from the outskirts.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's as long as you know where to look and how to look for. But in this case, right, I mean, every single player will be super important. It's not about their life, but it's all about their pockets as well. Because every single player, if they can carry more by the end of the day, it will translate into more higher value. So it's very different compared to Metro Royale, right? So Metro Royale, as long as that one particular player alive and play for placement points for the team, they still can get some points. But this Metro Royale is a bit more brutal. Like I mentioned in our first day of group stage, it's not for everyone. If you don't get the idea of how the mechanics works, then it's going to be really tough to make it up top. Because every single player plays such a high value, depending on how much of a value of loot they are carrying on. And for ETS, with only 2 players remaining, I mean, the most they can get out of this, the max of it, probably going to be around 5 million, maybe slightly more, just a tiny bit of that.
Yeah, I just love how this mode has such a simple concept, but at the very complex level of it, it does test all these players on all their skills that has been acquired through their usual battle royale rounds, right? Survivability and also going for eliminations. But this time with the added features of making sure that they bring all these high-value loots. There's an even higher priority on survivability into this match where, of course, it will be very tough for teams who are not careful enough. And speaking of being very carefully, ETS, the moment that they step outside, they are also surrounded by potentially 2 other teams. So the coast is not clear yet for the side of ETS. Well, I'm just surprised that it's only FaZe Clan directly in the center of Missile Silo without any form of contest from Sem9 just yet.
Not yet. We do know when it comes to dropping themselves a bit far from Missile Silo, they will take their own time, then they're going to come in later, knowing the fact, hey, we're already so far from Missile Silo. So it's okay, we try to loot out first and try to put out one of the high loot players, and the rest of them try to go into Mr. Silo just to, you know, clear things out in case there's anybody or any elimination they can actually get. Like how right now Sem9 is taking some time to just go against Prime, who was on their way towards a missile silo because they want to get into the entry or the entrance of the tunnel area, the metro station, of course. But Mamparang will try to stop them for a bit. So this actually bought so much time and then a huge advantage for FaZe Clan to keep looting up on Mr. Salo because these two teams are stopping each other from entering in.
Oh boy, Mamparang's also being knocked down. So Sem9 might lose their veteran player of the squad while these other players from Prime are hoping to push right through as they go towards the dumpster. Luyu would manage to spot one out. He's trying to cook this grenade to lop right in and immediately gets the knock onto Stone Cold. D-Boy as well as Naeem runs right out in the open. This is looking to be a little bit stuffy as here goes Luyu. Still holding them down with all the defilets that he's throwing out as the rest of Sem9 tries to get the revives done. They managed to pick up Manparang, but the flanks are being set by Bang Kapok, so that could be devastating if they were not going to be able to take notice.
Naeem, blinded all the way. One paw. Going back to the side of Ben. Ben got himself some elevation. Speaking of a three-way war, ETS happened to be taking advantage. Despite only have one player left, there is. And they will try to make do with some eliminations here for the side of ETS. And they score at least some points. Despite the entire crew didn't manage to loot anything out of this map. But at least they scored himself to elimination. That will be 600,000 worth of loot value by the end of the day still. But for Sem9, they're taking too long and a lot of team lost heavy casualty here when it comes to just getting into Mr. Salu. So the ones actually cheering and winning, hey, it's going to be FaZe Clan by the end of the day.
Yeah, and to my surprise as well, that battle was just convincingly won by these members of Prime. They picked onto Mamparang and the rest of Sem9. They decided not to leave their captain behind. But that also puts them into such a tight spot. Now it's only going to be Kinsu that's going to be the only one left standing. But at the very least, Sem9, they managed to at least score 2 takedowns so far in this matchup. But this is barely sufficient. They now have to rely on Kinsu to do everything else available. He's only got 300k so far, and there's only about 10 more minutes left in this match.
You can do whatever you need to, depending on the current situation. That's the only option for him as well. But for MetroMini, I mean, they've been playing it safe, playing it quiet. It seems to be fair enough, but it's going to be MCR versus MOM. Between the M's there, it's going to be a battle of these two teams. Happen to be in the top 3 right now. And pretty much similar value too. I mean, okay, when it comes to MCR MetroMini, if one or the other happen to be taken down by these teams, they're definitely going to get over like barely almost 2 million worth of value. But like I mentioned before, we already lost 2 teams, almost entirely 2 teams. So now still have 1 player alive. But for MCR, they do have the advantage of the elevation. But I don't know where are the rest of his members. Seems like Ochat is the only one that actually stands inside of this compound. The rest of them probably just looting out.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure if he will be able to hold it all by himself. And he's the one that pre-fired, but he will draw every attention, trying to actually go for a knock towards Fiki right down below. But over on the back end, he's also getting backstabbed already with not on the iron sight spray. It's not going to be able to land those shots as he's going to be using the Mark 14 instead of the AKM, but will still be able to do the job. So this one will be picked up for the side of MetroMini.
Nata, as per usual, feels like he's going to be the main fragger for the team as well for MetroMini here. But for MetroMini around this timber area, it seems like a bit vacant and barely got enough loot as well. I'm waiting for FaZe Clan. Seems like nobody's still trying to reach out to the side of FaZe Clan. Thanks to Sam9 fighting against Prime just now. It cancels out each other's rotation into the Mr. Silo area. So I think FaZe Clan, as long as they got themselves an extraction point and not be gatekeeper any of the teams down, that's going to be fine. And pretty much going to take the #1 spot. And they still have plenty of time with 8 minutes on the timer here. But we do see some glimpse of Prime plays around the corner. So I do want to see if Prime will start to fight against them or not.
Yeah, that's what we are hoping to see, a clash in between these two teams. And Prime definitely looking to be in a decent shape despite losing that one member to Sam9 earlier in that battle. But if FaZe Clan is going to be steering clear away from danger, it's undoubtedly them racking up the most points so far, having 9 million in the pocket already. Prime now dealing with the militants as well as perhaps a commando somewhere around these warehouses, as they have not really made their passage inbound into the missile silo. Or perhaps what Prime is going to be up to is to do their signature gatekeeping, hitting into the outskirts. But here comes the commando. Is sure his T-Boy is the only one trying to work this out. Thankfully, there's some help coming from Naeem as well. So that will be a much needed added loot.
I don't know if that gave away the position of Prime players just now, opening fire right on top of Mr. Silo too. So you're going to have to wait and see how FaZe Clan will respond to this, or will they start to eject themselves out? Because last I saw, one extraction point was quite close by to the side of FaZe Clan. So I don't know, was it inside of Mr. Silo or was it just above the exit out from the tunnel area? But for Moms or MetroMini, they barely got enough loot. This is going to be the two teams that are fighting against each other, and they are in the losing shoes of, other than FaZe Clan, of course. But a lot of teams across our map here do have 2 eliminations, except for MCR. So MCR, they cannot afford to go down. If not, they might go empty-handed for this map.
Yeah, it's only down to these 2 players left, and Vicky has managed to spot one running across the corner. Seems like Vicky has already lost sight of Aichan that has been able to make his way across. But it seems like on the side of Aichan, he is also taking notice at the very same time. May not be the best situation for Vicky to really charge in all alone. Perhaps calling in for a little backup for them to play out here in the arsenal. While he's just holding it down, look at his vest. It's already being shredded off from that early battle that they had with that one member of MetroCeria. So they should have actually taken notice. The information has been relayed. But these 2 teams that have been playing probably the most passive out of these other squads are vying to go for a pickoff. Footsteps now being heard. So Cheese Love, he's going to be out there. So the push comes in. Molotov now popped right into the doorways as he runs out in the open, tries to actually land the shot, but it will still be Cheese Love that will secure it.
Cheese Love, at least this time, it's going to be a good time for them and good news, because most of the time we actually watch Cheese Love, it's going to be him running away from the other team. He's the last sole survivor for the team as well. At least he got some comeback coming up from Cheese Love. But for MG, unfortunately, living with only Andrash down there, and with barely enough loot and no eliminations, he will try to score at least 1. But he will have to finish the play in an instant. If not, that's going to be him going down without any point at all. But it's going to be very spicy indeed. Andresh will try to stop the rest of MetroMini players to get out. And he got shot on one with Nata. He needs to finish it off in an instant.
Oh boy, he was just so focused onto the extraction point, and it seems like this will be their own demise. But there is retaliation towards the side of Randresh as well. There's not much that Randresh can do from that position but to hide out for the moment. But if he could miraculously take down the entirety of MetroMinis, this will be plenty full of points for him to secure. But giving chase is going to be Fiki, dropping nades after nades. The Molotovs barely connecting. So Randresh is going to be thankful that he stays intact. But the watchful eyes of MetroMinis are hoping to still continue to give chase.
Oh, he needs to secure one elimination from Andresh. Just one. He missed his opportunity the moment he whiffed in the last minute to his side of a Winata. If not, at least he will get at least one elimination, 300,000 worth. He would not go empty-handed out from this map. They are the only team without any eliminations here. And Andresh being scouted left, right, and center. He still got Winata down on his knees. But can he translate into 1 point by the least? MetroMini going all around the corners just to fight against this one particular player of MetroCeria player, which is going to be Andresh, and Fiki coming up from a different angle as well. Took them quite some time from outside of MetroMini to just finish off that last player of MCR, but maybe 7-9 will just take it away from behind.
Yeah, that might just be a potential threat coming from 7-9 right now. It's only one member, guys. Just go ahead and rush this player off. And Kinsyu, he's already arriving to the scene. So despite Kinsyu being all alone, he should be able to give strong impact. And with that being said, MetroMinis, they might be alerted of the presence of 7-9, especially shots are now being fired. But for MetroCeria, their run here in the first map will be over.
Prime ejected one player, FaZe Clan as well. I assume there's going to be highest loot players that be ejected out. But for Sam9, that one last player barely got enough yet. Trying to secure a couple of more eliminations. For Prime, Bunker, probably going to be the one with one of the highest loot as well. But I think they already transferred all their high value items to the side of Keyboy. So I assume that's going to be the last play of Sam9 opening fire to the side of MetroMini. Again, Chislav and MetroMini be surprised by it as solo player, making it such a nuisance on the side of MetroMini for the entire map run here. But look at the timing, we have only 2 minutes remaining.
Oh boy, time is ticking and they really have to get out of this map. Kinsyu, that match to actually take one down, so that's going to be good news for 7-9. While MetroMini, they're already out of the lobby, so they will be able to score a couple of 100,000, but they're not really touching a million just yet. Now, there is also the entirety of FaZe Clan that has walked out unscathed with that 11 million in the back, so they should be the undisputed #1 team for this map alone.
Oh, it's all about extraction now. We saw it so many times, getting used to it, that, you know, by the end of the day, some of them will not make it due to how last minute they were in the game, dragged themselves too much for the fight. Here comes Prime, Bunker, Poke, and Nimes left. They are the only two, except for that one particular player, 7-9, that was trying to take down the rest of MetroMini. Unfortunately, MetroMini, due to the sudden attack, their value of loot did not score as much as they hoped for, but at least they got more eliminations by the end of this map. Ken, I think it's okay for him to exit out. There's nobody else around, and we have only 1 minute left, and he's running towards the extraction point. Don't forget, we have another add-on extra 5 seconds for them to exit out. So they have to make sure it's going to be more than 10 seconds for them to stand on top of this green zone.
Yeah, and he will be arriving safely, so it should be no problem at all. Only one member of Prime left to book out as 7-9 carries about 800,000 to close out the round, and thereby it will be FaZe Clan sitting at the top.
No contention at Radiation Zone, thanks to Prime and also FaZe Clan fighting, and as well as M9, if I'm not mistaken, are fighting each other out way early on because you know what, they can and they don't want to go to the Mr. Silo. And thanks to that, FaZe Clan, the only one that actually get the Mr. Silo Radiation Zone all by themselves and got themselves double-digit millions. We're talking about 11 millions worth of loot, not even adding into those eliminations too. And speaking of eliminations, some teams will have to resort to just their eliminations for the points later.
That's right, and of course, we will have to tabulate all the value, but you don't have to count too much to know that FaZe Clan was unchallenged throughout the whole course of the battle and brings back, at the very least, 11.6 million Metro cash in this matchup. So they are well on course to even challenge some of all these Titans of Indonesia. Fellas ID, who's currently not within this group, so this is a really, really good start for the Thai squad.
It's always been the Indonesian team like Boom and Fellas ID who's taking a bit of a lead when it comes to the first 2 weeks of group stage. When it comes to the final week, things has changed. Speaking of change of wave here, of course, coming up for almost the entire day since yesterday, a lot of the ties seem to be on the rise here, including like FaZe Clan, including nongYing. And don't forget about the others like ETS too. Like these are the teams that they should watch out for. And I feel like these are gonna be the teams also that we will see again for the grand finals.
That's sure. And overall, so long as they remain this form of pace, there won't be anything that will be hindering them from dropping out of the top 6. Meanwhile, I guess like for the teams that are closer into the edge of getting into the grand finals, Sem9, this was a very difficult start. They were just absolutely gated off by these members of Prime. And who knows, with Prime doing such a maneuver, they might be absolutely denied. And what are also the chances of Prime to eventually overtake? We'll have to find out. We still have one more game to play out in this respective group, but we'll be changing the map heading into the upcoming matchup. So things will be pretty interesting when they battle it out in Misty Port. So I guess Sem9, they got to be a lot more prepared because, like I did mention, they cannot afford to drop any more rounds with less than 1 million points to book out.
And just now, it was actually Sem9 that gatekeeping against Prime Team, not the other way around. Prime Team will try to get into the metro station to get into the underground tunnel to just reach out to Mr. Salo. But thanks to Sem9, who's been gatekeeping. I think they're not meant for gatekeeping in the first place. Both teams just happen to go in the same direction just to get into the entry point towards the tunnel, just to transfer themselves into Mr. Salo's as looting spot. But just speaking of timing-wise, they happen to be colliding and moving in the same direction at the same time. While we did have FaZe Clan quite close towards Mr. Salo's place, so it's easier for them to reach out to that radiation zone early on than the rest of the team. It's all about the drop spot too, if you ask me, when it comes to their spawning spot. It did actually play a big part when it comes to their timing to get into the radiation zone. That's why a lot of the radiation zone seems to be in the center, but whether they got it nearby towards the entry or not, that's a bigger question.
That's right, and here we have the match ranking for Game 1 as FaZe Clan sits at the top with a total of 12 million after adding the elimination points on top. Meanwhile, Prime, they have done excellently to be able to also put out some really good numbers with 1.5 million, almost touching to 1.6, whereas MetroMinis, they managed to eliminate 4 players and also gather closely against Prime to be able to book out with 1.4. Sem9 on 4th, and the rest will have to play catch up once again. It's always gonna be Sui Boy from FaZe Clan to be the Fortune's chosen one.
Yeah, but he's the one being ejected and booted out from the map first because he holds the worth of 8.7 million value of loot. If he got knocked down by the other teams that happen to be nearby the extraction point, now this is going to be the plays they should take down and just try to steal away his loot because he himself carried almost 10 million. That's going to be 8.7, close to 9. If we make it a whole number, it's going to be almost 10. So there's a lot of heavy pockets coming out from Zui Boy. But when it comes to rotations, well, this is what I mentioned before. Now, FaZe Clan, they have quite a clear entrance towards into the underground tunnel, straight into the Mr. Silo. But MCR, they want to avoid those early conflicts. So they and MetroMini decided, MCR and MOM decided to go for surface area. But unfortunately, both teams happen to have the same idea. Just like how Sem9 and Prime, that they went towards the same entry towards the tunnel just now, but that caused quite heavily on the side of Prime, and FaZe Clan already out from his assault the moment Prime got in.
Yeah, it was super unfortunate, but at the very least, they still have Kinsu to be able to pull off certain takedowns to be able to maintain some form for Sem9. But looking into the situation right now in the overall ranking, Sem9 have managed to push right into the border of top 6 within this battle round. That's also due to the fact that certain groups are not playing at the moment. So there's still pressure on their position, but ETS is currently holding on to the top 5. FaZe Clan takes over that #1 spot from Fellas ID. So it will still be a race, or we eventually will get nongYing as well as Fellas to play much later in other groups as well. HLV though, holding into that number 4 spot. The Malaysian squads are doing pretty decently, whereas Boom is right now put under pressure.
Boom barely got himself at the number 6 spot now. Keep your eye out to the overall ranking, especially 6 and 7 place, how big of a gap it will be, because it's going to be Boom trying to fight against the first page team here just to make it up for the top 6. Only 6 teams going into the grand finals for Prime. I think it's still doable and reachable for them. But the one at the very bottom, like Team Mantap and the rest of the teams that barely got enough points, there's going to be some difficulties for them to finally close their day. But if they happen to be in Group D, they have more chances, as well as Group B teams like Team Mantap, Boom Esports, nongYing, as well as 79, MCI and ETS. At least they have more chances here today to make do for their numbers just to get to the grand finals.
Yeah, it's more important for teams to be focused on getting into the grand finals. And it's also important for you guys to take notice of what's going on inside of PUBG Mobile, where you guys can check out the Airdrop Carnival Pirate Bash, where you can have a great day exploring the Ocean Odyssey new team area, Pirates Booty Island, where you could also collect airdrop tokens and hit to the Airdrop Carnival in-game event to upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for guaranteed set or emote of your choice. So don't forget to jump into the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate to once again have a great day.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Derek. I'm a bit too early here, and I'm still kicking in for my coffee, so I'm just gonna read it out like as per usual. Okay, the Galadriel X-Suit with advanced upgraded MG3 already available for you guys is up to the 30th of September. Starting from 6th of August, it's already ongoing here today. And speaking of September, you guys have only 1 month left. Starting off 1st of September here today. So wake me up when September ends, everybody.
Well, I guess we have to be awake throughout September to be able to get the Galadriel X-Suit for sure. So that's what you guys will have to do. Or you can stay asleep, just wake up and have that 10 UC draw for your very first spin. And you might be able to actually get your chance on that. Well, of course, we focus back on what is at stake here. The spot for grand finals is just drawing to a close, and I'm just looking at 7-9's battle against Boom Esports. It will be really sad to see either teams go because they performed so excellently throughout all these past couple of days. But HLV's effort from yesterday really put them in a really decent position to make it to the grand finals too. So I'm really happy to really see all these teams really thriving up.
Honestly, not gonna lie, due to how big the numbers when it comes to the points, I have no clue how much of a gap between the 8 and the 9 the 6 and the 7 place right now, okay? But I assume there's gonna be some gap in between still. That's why they've been pushed down. So I do know last time we saw 7 and 8 place can reach up to the 6th place. And speaking of that, it's doable within 1 round because of how, I mean, like even one map can cost like 2 digit of millions. We're talking about 15 million worth of loot. It can shoot up anytime and make a turn of a table when it comes to the top 6 to be in the grand final. So as long as they try to take as efficient for their next run coming up from A and D group, there's going to be Prime Team, MetroMini, FaZe Clan, 79, MetroCeria, and ESTIR the Strong. This is going to be 6 teams that are fighting for the last rotation between A and Group D in Misty Port. Misty Port is the place they can actually reach up to probably 12 to 15 million. That's going to be the usual number.
Yeah, then this is where they will try to at least squeeze as plenty as they can. And if not, then maybe a couple of million would still be good enough for them to maintain the course of the pace. But this being, one of the final few matches to be played out by Group A, they need to really put the highest value possible before all the other groups coming from Group B, D, as well as C play out the course of the match. So there's only so little games left, Choo, and it's really high time that we actually see if teams are daring enough to even put themselves at risk, because we're seeing maybe lesser fights happening throughout the course of these runs because of how teams have been playing so carefully to not make any mistakes at all.
I mean, like, please do make mistakes. So we have some drama talking about when it comes to the game. I mean, we had some drama when it comes to Prime Team versus M9, of course, but that ended up with nobody winning or nobody actually gained anything out of that fight, except for, you know, elimination points, of course. I do want to see some teams trying to fight over the radiation zone, which we love to see every single time, just to make it a bit more spicy, a bit more drama by the end of our week of the group stage. Yeah. And for the next map, we do know Misty Port do look a lot like Zombie Uprising map, but the difference is going to be just the mobs. So we have militants playing over this one. And what's fun about this map particularly, it's going to be the mobs. It can go for long range fights, right? It can actually do equip itself. The militant can equip itself with rifles, especially when it comes to the mobs like the big boss of Fire and Roy and Joy. Fire, what you call it? The fire what? I forgot. Fire spray person. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't see a lot of bosses fight these days. I don't know why. Maybe they're just too busy fighting against all the other teams. But when it comes to Misty Port, I feel like there's a possibility that some teams thought it's going to be, oh, that's going to be just mobs, not even human beings. To distinguish between a normal player and just the mobs is going to be taking some time for them as well.
Yeah, I guess to be safe, it's like you just gotta shoot at anything that moves so that you won't be mistaking some of all these NPCs versus what seems to be another opponent that's going to be around these corners. So they always have to be keeping a watchful eye. And yeah, I absolutely do agree that we have seen maybe lesser boss raids going on where maybe certain teams might have thought, hey, it does take quite some time to eliminate the boss, so maybe it's better that we just basically scavenge around and not really put too much focus on the boss. But we've even seen in the past before, they absolutely ignore the boss and the bosses will damage them well enough to the point that they lose maybe a member or so. So we'll see what will happen here inside of Misty Port. This will be the final matchup between Group A versus Group D. So let's have a great time here in the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia Metro Royale Edition as we take on the whole map of Misty Ports.
I tried to get a panoramic view just now, but not enough time due to how small the map is and how little teams you have in the game. I do love some panoramic view, and this is going to be one of the things that every player will try to find. This globe, these luminous globe will actually supply them with so many high level of loot. You can see the colors coming out. We have some militants around the corner, and that's going to be a good start coming up from Prime. Already got himself around 24k of earnings. That's just how valuable these luminous orbs are, luminous globes are. If you look at the red colors, it'll be a good sign as well. Suey Boy is going to be the main looter for FaZe Clan. Now, I always love a bit of drama. If they can take out Suey Boy for the other teams, FaZe Clan probably going to get themselves handicapped since they lost their trolley boy.
Oh, true enough. And of course, Suey Boy so far has been remaining very, very elusive, where teams would love to take him down because last game he got like 8 million by himself. Imagine that compared to all the other squads, right? It's kind of like 7 to 8 folds of what an entire team earning is. So definitely, if teams could just get the target to eliminate him, that's basically more than half of the stash of what FaZe Clan will be securing. While ETS swiftly goes to the mine cart to just get through the mine warehouse. Hopefully they won't bump into certain teams because FaZe Clan are absolutely well on their way, headed into the same direction. But the coast is clear for now for ESTIR the Strong. While MCR last round was a little rough in it for this team because they got wiped out.
I kind of miss Zombie Uprising now. We don't see a hordes of zombie trying to crash down all the players. But I love the fact yesterday when it comes to, I think we all remember yesterday tragedy coming up from, was it ETS players? I think it was ETS, yes. They got cornered down by the mutant boss and they thought he's a normal mutant. He's just slightly bigger in size, nothing out of ordinary when it comes to its appearance. It got stuck into one corner and multiple players got into the same case scenario, just like how ETS players did. It ended up them losing a lot of high value loot by the end of the run.
Oh, speaking of losing value, it's Mantap looking to strike players down. Last game, he got taken out very early. At this time, he's challenging the rest of ETS. Flushing the position, Sphinx have to make a run. He'll be backed up by Benz as well. Two members now stuck into a tiny little compound while they're also keeping themselves busy with some of the militants headed their way. So this is not looking too good. Their main looter, Sonhai, has already been knocked out, so they have to rely on somebody else. But ESTIR is strong. They're forced into this fight. No matter what, they will have to try to fend off against M9.
ETS, can they actually make do with what they have left? At least they still have 3 players, but trying to play a ring around the Rosie, and down they go. He's going to be getting on the ground first. Well, Sam9 is a fair trade-off between Goza and also Sam9 Ken just now. He can actually loot up from those boxes. But how do they respond to this for the rest of Sam9? They definitely want to finish off Goza on the side of ETS side. So for ETS, any response coming up from them to try to save their teammate, and they're just gonna bail him out. Oh my god, they abandoned one of their brothers down there.
Yeah, I guess like they're just too fixated in the cause of taking up this fight that even with Nada coming from MetroMinis are looking to lock them into this particular township for the moment. But ETS, they continue their journey underground as they don't really want to waste any more time to fend off against Sam9. Sam9 being absolutely careful, though, as they've already lost Kinsu, who have brought majority of the points from that last round, being the Lone Ranger surviving for Sam9. They don't want the same ordeal to happen. So it is going to be a tough decision to make for the side of Sam9, whether if they should go in for the push and maybe lose some members, or just go the other way around, because there's still other passages that could still bring them to the mine warehouse.
I mean, Sam9, they have pretty rough run in last map. Yeah, they cannot afford to lose any more points. When it comes to the overall rankings, I won't worry too much. Sam9 will be one of the teams at the very top as well, because how they played so well in week 1 and week 2. When it comes to week 3, they've been forced into fight so many times here. They barely got enough time to even loot up. When it comes to the numbers, things don't look so great at their M2. But for FaZe Clan, Suey Boy, it's going to be him with the most value of loot. Look at the numbers going up at 3 million right now. 3 million for FaZe Clan. Majority, 90% of that 3 million is only on top of Suey Boy. Imagine if we have a third party coming up and finish off Suey Boy. Even this boss, if this boss just finish him off, Suey Boy will have a lot of trouble. But this is the boss we talked about before they actually finish off a lot of teams yesterday. They finally will try to take him down.
Yep, and FaZe Clan, they're not gonna make mistakes like the rest of these squads did to underestimate the boss overall. As this battle continues, this time it's gonna be Nada challenging Luyu. A very interesting approach, as Luyu is stuck by the corner of the stone, as he does not really have that much space. He tries to run around the corner. It will also be caught out by Lantizi, giving him enough cover fire. And with Nada, is he going to have any backup at all? I don't see the rest of MetroMini to be around this area. But with Nada, try as he may, this is going to be a tough angle, especially from the top end. Mantap is going to be holding out at the very same time, too. He's got to keep his eyes on the hills at the very same time, while Mantap draws into a close, pushing right through, hiding inside the smoke, buying a little bit more, a couple more seconds. But there's barely enough cover. But MetroMinis, they arrive on time to take down the captain of Sam9.
Winata didn't have too much of value of loot up here, but still something for the side of MetroMini. Nate gonna be exchanged between these two players. Slowly chip down his 50% of HP. There's gonna be 2 members of ETS waiting on top for the opportunity, being a third party to finish off 2 teams at the same time. And we have Prime watching as well. So we have 4 teams on top of where we're looking at Sam9 versus MetroMini, and the only one that's winning is going to be FaZe Clan again.
Yeah, FaZe Clan so far is just having a great time in the radiation zone, whereas ETS, they're looking for payback. None of these teams are actually gathering loot. There's still about 12 more minutes on the clock, and to settle this dispute between these 3 teams is definitely going to take maybe at the very least 4 minutes for them to settle in. Meanwhile, Nada has been hugging tight on this corner and eventually gets picked out. It's Prime that comes from the back. 4 teams, Choo-Choo. They're all surrounding this area.
Yep, literally what I just said, because these 4 teams are the teams that are not gaining any loot, and FaZe Clan will win this round again. No question asked anymore. While Sam 9, like I mentioned, is it World Fighting Forces? They barely got enough for their last run and now ended up with a 0 earning of loot with only 2 eliminations. That's going to be 600,000. Yeah, it's going to be back to Battle Royale, I assume, in this map. Now, since we still have all the teams fighting against each other, including ETS remaining 2 plays against Prime, I assume nobody will interrupt or disrupt FaZe Clan from looting anymore, except for MCR, of course. MCR seems to be not so interested regarding the brawls. So I think probably going to be A-OK. While Prime, they're taking some time to just stop ETS from getting out live. So Prime, will they play their best strategy, waiting around the extraction point just to snatch away all those loot in the very last minute?
It might just be the case, but for what's worth, Prime could also look to secure all these number of names that's around this area. ETS did manage to catch 1 member and it's pretty stun cold, but the push comes into effect. nongYing goes ahead to pick off this member of ETS as he's being isolated inside of the compound. A 1-for-1 trade, while Prime team, they can still go in for the revive, so they still have the upper hand.
These 2 teams, the numbers barely hit 1 million. And they are the one that just, flexing out who's the alpha male by the end of the day. But Ben's with 1 player left against the entirety of Prime. Prime do cost them 500,000 earning loot, but ETS Ben don't have that much. Even if his box later will be catch away by the side of Prime, it's still not going to be worth fighting this person unless, if they force them to actually take him down anyway. Here comes Prime will finish off, and that's going to be the last of the players of ETS and ended up with a 0. ETS, at least they got 2 eliminations. Yeah, it feels like a deja vu, just like how we saw the last map.
Yeah, it really feels like it, how things are occurring on these outskirts. ETS, 7-9, they don't back any points at all. MetroMinis, at the very least, will still have some of their members surviving, and they're already booking out of this match, leaving only 1 player behind. That's not even close to 500,000. Nobody's going to contest FaZe Clan at all if that's going to be the case. And for some reason, because of all the time and space being bought, MetroCeria is currently placed at 2nd because how Prime has been occupied themselves with those fights. And finally, we see MetroCeria moving into the mining warehouse as they're actually cutting over onto Garnet Maison for now. So it's still a little bit further from where they need to be. So maybe they might not even get there. So we shall see what's going to be the approach coming from MCR instead. While FaZe Clan, they've been waiting for so long, but there's no visitors to be expected.
Suey boy, 7 million. I assume he's trying to hit more numbers than he did before. He's trying to break his own record here. 7 million. Make it 10. Come on, Suey boy. You can do it. 10 million. Come on. It's like bidding time now. 10 million for Suey boy 1. 10 million for Suey boy 2. And nobody else can actually have more than Suey boy because out of the 7 million, it's 7.6 million on FaZe Clan. And Zhao James, I love the fact they put some guards over the entry point, knowing the fact they've been gate capped by so many teams when they try to get out from the tunnel area. And it also makes me question whether they have any extraction point on top of the radiation zone around the mines warehouse, which we do know if they don't have any, usually it's going to be on top of a rooftop or on the very high grounds of the radiation zone. If they have one person to watch out for any entry in and out, it means that probably there's no extraction point in there.
Yeah, there might not be one, but if they do, they're going to be lucky enough to be able to walk out without getting challenged overall. As for Prime, they found themselves into one out of the many extraction zones over onto the outskirts, but I'm not too certain if they really want to book out yet. Probably going to be looking for even more plays on the outskirts. And speaking of which, I think there was one player that have just ejected out of that match, or I could be very well wrong for that matter. MetroMinis, they walk out with only 123,000 for the moment.
I'm not surprised though, because they know for a fact, hey, we got ambushed so many times in the last map. We don't want to overstay ourselves too long. Might as well get something done rather than 0 and nothing. That's what happened inside of MetroMini in the last map. So at least it's got something by the end of this round. MCI, at least they got better than before. These are the two teams that love to play very safe and very peaceful, but being forced to get into the fight due to their rotations and the directions migrating into their looting spot. But for FaZe Clan, they're still waiting for the numbers to go up, but they have to eject out Sui Boy as soon as they can. If we have MCR spot out one of the players of FaZe Clan, which going to be Sui Boy, and worst case scenario, he's been shot down, that's going to be tough to watch.
Oh yeah, MetroCeria now walks into FaZe Clan's hidden lair. Well, not so hidden after all. It just takes a lot of moves to get through this mine warehouse. Now that they have arrived, the guard was not on duty, so Zhao James has given enough of a wiggle room for the entire squad of MCR to arrive to the scene, which at least 70% of this whole portion of mine warehouse has already been looted by FaZe Clan, as FaZe Clan turns the other corner to completely dodge the course of action that MCR is pulling through. So they have left mine warehouse with very little loot into that area of play, and they've already backed that 7.8, and they're happy to go for the ejection. I believe Sui Boy has already moved out of the lobby, so that's great news for FaZe Clan. They've already secured at the very least 6 million or so.
I mean, if they don't do that, I would be questioning them what are they thinking. And lucky for them, Sui made it out alive. He got booted out safely. That's going to be the key word, is safely booted out with 7.8 million, and I think around 7.5 or 7.6 million on top of Sui Boy. The rest of FaZe Clan don't have too much, but they do have some time if they want to get some extra loot in the very last minute. Yes, since it's going to be 5 minutes still on the clock. Well, MCR, they try to find whatever that's still high value inside of the mines warehouse, but unfortunately, most of the time, FaZe Clan has been in here, so majority of the high value loot been taken away already. So they got barely any high value loot, unless if they're lucky enough to find some couple of gold bars being dropped by these mutants. Perhaps those mutants actually swallow those gold bars, and maybe they can get a couple of them out of it.
Yeah, sometimes I really do wonder how do they digest gold, but well, I say that. I mean, even in real life, there's edible gold. Though that's just like a couple of flakes. Not a big fan of it, honestly, but,
Hey,
going back to the gold bar,
it means that you're pooping out high-value stuff,
which I'm going to flush it away. I don't want high-value stuff in me, probably around me. That's going to be good enough.
It means that you are as good as gold, buddy.
Yeah, so are you, Choo. You absolutely are. Anyways, over on this corner of the map, seems like FaZe Clan, they're still having a little bit of a boss rate coming in from the outskirts, if they could still find any at all, So, other than all these gold bars, probably if they could find any other stash, we just see a couple of keys and oils that they could basically get out from. So I guess the targeted goal right now could potentially be 9 million. Achievable within the span of less than 4 minutes before they move out. So we'll see. But it's undisputed. FaZe Clan should be number 1. But even despite MCR moving so late, they now overtake Prime, but just by playing inside of the radiation zone. So whatever scraps that was left, it was still worth a whole lot.
Oh, we're gonna have to wait and see the scraps. Actually, to try to find something. Water purifier, yeah, it's still worth something. Water, but there's a couple of goals probably. We just try to find the goals right now. Don't forget that even though it's worth something for whatever they can find, but if the item's just gonna take the space without putting too much of a value, there's gonna be a waste for these teams. For FaZe Clan, they try to push their numbers and pushing their luck here. But speaking of luck, whether they can push the timer too, that's not possible at this point. They have to be aware there's only just barely over 2 minutes on the clock for Prime. They already booted out their most high value players as well. Now, the rest of them will try to find some other looting just to put the numbers up to 2 millions by end of this map.
That's right. And MCR, so long as there's not going to be any form of challenge, they should at least be within top 2, top 3. Prime does have a slight advantage in terms of those eliminations that they've gotten so far by really picking on teams from the outskirts. 7-9 as well as ETS, they only managed that 600k, but take a look at this situation. 600k is actually more than enough to overtake members of MetroMinis that did manage to survive, but didn't actually stay for far too long. Now there's only less than 2 minutes on the clock where we see FaZe Clan on their journey out. Oh boy, here comes MCR. I hope that there's not too many loots over on the hands of Tony as well as Yao James. And I think that they've taken notice. The nades are now being cooked up, and that will set Akka over on the corner wall and quickly gets picked off.
I wouldn't worry for FaZe because last time we saw him booted out Stewie at 8 million worth. So for the rest of FaZe, it's not that high much of a value, but for MCR, they need every player out alive. And look how much they drop of the numbers the moment they have one player finished off. But at least they got themselves some better loot and exchange of loot since Andre is still alive. But problem is his pocket pretty full himself. And speaking of time is not on his side to pick and choose. Whatever he can just try to grab, just grab it and just boot out.
Oh boy, less than 1 minute. I don't see any extraction point around. He cannot afford to stay for far too long. Quickly get whatever else.
This one.
Oh, where exactly is that?
It's just behind them around the walls. That's why they've been fighting for this spot here for these two teams. But thing is, yeah, there you go.
Right there.
He can actually put out. But I want to know, yeah, at least he make do with what he has left. That was putting the numbers up to 1.3 and almost 1.4 mil. Plus a couple of eliminations out there. So for FaZe Clan, it wasn't a big loss for the members to be finished off in the last minute because they won't carry as much loot because the rest of remaining FaZe Clan were trying to aim for eliminations just to solidify their positions and their points of players elimination. But I assume this 7 million of total value of FaZe, 99% is coming up from Suyu Boy to be our chosen one.
That's right, as he will continuously be our MVP and the chosen one from what we saw. Nothing was really stopping FaZe Clan until the very end. So that was great pickoffs coming in from MetroCeria, also adding another 600k just by taking these two players down. So this is looking to be a really, really good game for MetroCeria, and also another strong showing coming from the side of Prime Team, which is absolutely lovely. And that being said, the Group A have already settled the scores. They won't be moving up anymore on the chart. So hopefully that's going to be enough for some of these names to be able to make the cut for the grand finals. But now I start to worry for 7-9 because without any more games left on the table, Boom Esports in this upcoming rounds, which they will play, they have a chance to go in for a big overtake.
Last time we saw when it comes to the overall rankings, nongYing were actually at third place. There's also opportunity for them since they're going to play back-to-back 2 maps rotation for Group B. There's going to be the group that can push the numbers up, including Boom and nongYing is going to be one of the most strongest contention when it comes to the top 6 teams. But also maybe Team Mantap will surprise us. They are at the very bottom. If they want to finish this, they might as well finish it strong. It might surprise us with the turn of event. If they finish off nongYing and Boom Esports early on for the next rotation of map, then maybe they got themselves the entirety of the map to loot up for. But back to us, the side of Group A, yeah, I agree that they finish off their run when it comes to the group stage here and last week and the fight for the final week. But when it comes to the numbers, FaZe Clan, can they cling on to that 6th place? I think it's going to be a-okay for them possibly, unless somebody else from Group B later will surprise us with another big amount of loot value by end of their round.
Yeah, there might just be surprises as well as to how much can Boom Esports get throughout these course of round, where they could also suffer the same fate as 7-9, being ambushed by certain teams and not walk away with all too much. So a really tough start for the Malaysian squad that was hoping to make it into the grand finals, but now their fate lies in the hands of others, which is definitely going to be them staying put on the stream to see if they actually make it through. So Man Parang, I just wish you boys all the best. So overall, when we take a look good hard look at all the other teams, it's big improvements for MetroCeria. I love that, that they have played it towards lasting out very long and also not to take too many of these fights, but still being proactive heading into the final ordeal to pick up these two members of FaZe Clan. And therefore, MetroCeria finishes off second place. And of course, not much has to be said about FaZe Clan's consistency in getting number ones and outright winning out this round itself. Prime on third spot. Meanwhile, only 600 for both Sem9 as well as ETS, as well as having MetroMinis coming up with 900 over 1,000 despite not getting any elimination points.
I'm waiting for the overall ranking just to see how much of big of a gap, because there's too many numbers. I barely can remember everything that's going on for the overall ranking charts. But when it comes to Sem9, kind of worries me when it comes to getting into the grand finals with this. Yeah, at least they still have yeah, they do still have some rounds afterwards, which is going to be the next rotation of B versus D. They're still going to play 2 more maps to go, so it's going to be changeable for Sem9's fate here whenever they are in the wherever they are when it comes to the overall rankings. But for the likes of Prime Team, MetroMini and FaZe Clan, now these two teams, MetroMini Mums didn't actually score too much week 1. Week 2 kind of fumbled down as well when it comes to week 3 with barely enough 1 million when it comes to this last map rotation. I don't know if they can make it to the grand finals. We're gonna have to wait and see for the numbers coming up for our overall rankings. Now try to remember the difference between the 6th and the 7th place, and maybe even the 8th place, because last time we saw the difference when it comes to 7th and 8th place wasn't that great, like only a couple of thousands of difference. But when it comes to 6th place, we're going to see how big of a value there is later on. Stewie boys, per usual, the most when it comes to the chosen one.
Yeah, and with those two players eliminated, it really felt like all the value was being brought in from Stewie boy himself. And of course, Stewie was the very first player to be ejecting out of the map for very, very good reasons. 7.5, is just about good enough to beat everybody else in the lobby, and FaZe Clan walks out with some of the cleanest of records coming into today's run with those double wins so far. And I guess I have maybe mistaken the group shuffle that did happen over the course of the weeks. So this being FaZe Clan's final game, they have definitely earned everything that they could in order to keep themselves afloat for the grand final. So of course, FaZe Clan, they are absolutely in that poised position to be playing out over the course of next week. It's more about who else will be joining FaZe Clan alongside.
Oh, we do know Fellas ID will be one of them, and definitely will be the one in the grand finals later as well. FaZe Clan, we have to tally up when it comes to every weekly points as well, just to see where they ended up in this week. But we have to wait it out for the rest of the map of the day finished off, because we have new contenders coming up. Because FaZe Clan, last time we saw, they're not in the most solid position still. It might get pushed down. And within the Metro Royale mode itself, anything can happen and everything can change within one single map. I mean, we have some fun teams later on that love to go for those brawls here, especially nongYing. When it comes to firepower-wise, they're pretty great himself, but they changed their approach. But when it comes to the last map recap, MCR came in late. That's where FaZe Clan really just left, and James almost got caught up at the back. But unfortunately, FaZe Clan still gonna have to fight against Andres till the very end. But that wasn't high much value of FaZe Clan members, so they made it out not too much of a loss. FaZe Clan secured the run at 38 million with a total points of 45. Now, I'm looking at the numbers at 6th place, 7.3 million. That's gonna be the magical number to look out for.
7.3. We'll have to keep in mind of this record right now. Of course, Group A has already finished all of their matchup heading into this afternoon. So FaZe Clan, they won't be moving any far off. So it's really down to Fellas to not get all out of the park. nongYing as well as Fellas ID will come into play in our upcoming matchup. I can't wait to see what happens from there. But over here, Sem9, they're still maybe a million off. So there are chances for Sem9, so long as they just have maybe a round that at least carries 2 million. that should be good enough for Sem9 to make it into the top 6. But there's also Boom to play out some of the matches. So Boom will definitely be giving some pressure to Sem9.
This is not the weekly ranking of the bonus points, so we're gonna have to wait and see that until the very end of the day. Then only we tally up all the scores for each of the week. For the next rotation of map, FaZe Clan dominated over Arctic Base and Misty Port when it comes to their group, when it was Group A rotating in the first 2 maps. But FaZe Clan will not play anymore for the rest of the day. Will it be a different team dominate over when it comes to the Arctic Base and Misty Port again for Group B versus D, which we do have Mantap, Boom Esports, nongYing, as well as Sem9, MCR, and ETNs. And so far, since yesterday, when it comes to week number 2, there's a lot of domination coming up from the Thai teams.
Yeah, and this being a group with a lot of big fraggers in the table, I would say that we might actually get those messy brawls in the early game, which they absolutely know and love. But Sem9, maybe they don't want to partake in some of them, because we saw throughout this group stage from the last 2 games that was played out, they lost both battles. I don't think that they're whipped into shape just yet, or some may even say, they're just trying to warm up because it's still very early in the gamers' POV. So we'll really have to see. And of course, yesterday probably having a good day out celebrating with Becca. Now it's back to work for these guys of Sem9. But from what we have seen coming out of even MetroCeria, ESTIR Strong, they are definitely keeping up with the pace. So it's really down to what they can do in these upcoming matches. So stay tuned as we'll come back after a short commercial break.
And welcome. Go ahead, it's okay.
Go ahead, Chuchu. Yeah, I took
Welcome
it
back,
long
ladies
way.
and gents, to the PMSL Southeast Asia Metro Royale, the first ever for this season. And it's going to be fun zombie time again, but we don't see a lot of zombies here today, unfortunately. It's going to be a lot of militants, of course. With me, Chu and Contra, when it comes to who will get into the grand finals next week. We're down to the final week of the group stage for the influencers and also for the players to make some cash prize money for the pool.
Yeah, and on top of that, you can also join in the airdrop carnival that is officially open. Call your friends to join a pirate bash, explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area, Pirate Booty Island, collect airdrop tokens, and head to the airdrop carnival in-game event. Upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for guaranteed set or email of your choice. During the airdrop carnival, get daily rating protection for 2 matches, so it's only available from August 16 to 18, so you can have a great day.
Galadria! Exo! Ding, 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 ding. I don't know, does it sound very opera or not yet? But yeah, I'll try, okay? Advanced Upgradable MG3! Available for you guys! Ding, 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 ding! The unlock coupons and limited outfit award from 6 to 30th of September, 6th of August 2024, the 30th of September 2024. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, we're done. Can we go next? Our director.
I was not expecting
you
that.
remember that opera, like all time, like, you know, the Chinese opera time? I mean, if we got the team wrong, sorry, guys. I think it's supposed to be like Japan kind of stuff. But yeah, okay.
Well, I think it's close enough to almost sound like you're an anime character. And
really?
every weekend, I always look forward to casting with you because I always have big smiles on my face on these kind of segments. But here we are. It's Arctic phase between these groups, B as well as D. I do assume, yes, it's going to be Group B as well as D to play here throughout the course of the highly valued Arctic phase. And here we go, as we do have your teams up and ready. Noel still getting himself prepared for this. It seems like it's only Mist that's currently running around. What's going on with Team Mantap? Well, I hope that they're warmed up enough.
I feel like Team Mantap definitely kind of feels sad to have to play this map, because last time I saw them last week, when it comes to like Zombie Uprising or even Misty Port, right? They're going to go around the shoreline. Just be a fisherman by the end of the day, try to fish out all the loot from across the river bank. But this time to be forced to play whatever map there is with no water in it, so they're probably not going to be happy. And speaking of Team Mantap and Sam 9, they will bump quite early on. These are going to be the only two teams that will have to force some collisions, while the others will go straight into Mr. Silo. I mean, good luck. Sam 9 be fighting so much for the entire day, they cannot afford to lose even this one round.
Yeah, Team Mantap, though, they might have actually seen or heard some of all these footsteps coming out of 7-9. But 7-9 wastes no time. They immediately dive directly into the underground for them to just quickly gather those loots possible inside of Missile Silo. While they're already going heave-ho on the carts, there is also another squad that is absolutely prepared for that. And that's going to be Boom, that's also not too far off. And they should be able to hear some shots coming from above, so they stay on high alert. 7-9, they need big rounds, and especially with some of all these ETS members still on board, they need to find ways to overtake ETS to make it to the grand finals.
I mean, like, why not? Whatever works for the team. Right now, numbers going to be way more important than the Battle Royale mode, but it's going to be Boom waiting it out. Oh, it's going to be a surprise attack now. Boom! This is nasty. Dappen and Ray's already waited out around the entrance with 7, and the moment they pop their head, it's going to be a done deal. Here it comes. Not yet. They're waiting for the rest of the crew coming in, and surprise! But here comes the spray. Racing it 1 down, 2 down, and making a comeback for the trade-off. But 7 not how to save the rest of them. It's straight in the line of sight for Ray's and move to shoot him down.
Oh boy, and trouble lies ahead. Molotov's now being exchanged. Ray's is going to be burned down, but he somehow stays alive with 1 HP left. But Boom, they're also suffering some detonations here. Kinsu tries to trade right back, but Boom, they have fully recovered. and 7-9 loses 2 members off the bat. Trouble still for the Malaysian squad to actually score huge, and this time they are just absolutely being gated off from stepping foot into missile silo. So boom, they're happy about this situation. They will now move into the silo to challenge what seems to be nongYing, that was the first mover into these quarters.
Yep, nongYing, like, we don't have time for to entertain you guys. We're just gonna go for the loot here today. But if you challenge us, we might actually see some fighting going on. In Jungle taking the lead this time, while MCR definitely on their way in the tunnel area just to be at Mr. Solid 2, but they already engaged first. nongYing waited this one out. They have their guards stand by around the entrance as well. And the respawn from the side of Kodak was swift too. But can they get access and the rest of the crew of nongYing that got himself quite a high value to get out first? Zip holds 1.1 million worth. They cannot afford to lose this player right now.
Yeah, he is definitely not going to be joining the fragging squad right now, as these 3 members are just running it through against Boom Esports. Meanwhile, look at the back. ETS have also arrived to the quarter. Team Mantap will join in a little rather late, as the Boom member has already been wiped down. And somewhere in between, I do see a boss has spawned across that area. nongYing might keep themselves busy once again. Mantap, what is going to be called here? They should be able to hear some movements. And MCR, they're just right around this corner. They funnel in. One big nade. This is going to be pretty tough for MCR.
And I see ETS on top as well. They're probably on their way to Mr. Silo here. Speaking of Mr. Silo, I feel like by the end of this map, we only have one team survive. And that may be the case where even that one team that finally wins over this kerfuffle here right now probably won't have a full team or full squad as well. So whoever wins this one, the winner takes it all.
True enough, and it seems like even on the underground passage, it's been all these teams keeping themselves busy. It seems like FaZe hasn't really checked these corners. And for now, MCR, they will be very wary on where to turn and where to look. Nate's now being primed right in. 3 members hiding right behind those crates. Mantap. Not too sure if that's going to be a good spot, as these 3 members will now slowly be picked up by Rundresh. And there's basically nowhere to hide. That's a bad decision for Team Mantap.
Well, not so Mantap, as I say. Sorry for that, puns intended. But yeah, Team Mantap, it feels like a deja vu. It's rinse and repeat for them in the case of always being the victim of the unnecessary fight and conflicts. And Team Mantap, Haley, I ain't got no time for this. I need to survive and just get out whatever loot he got left. I still got around 40 minutes to loot up. So as long as Haley will not bump into another team, and there's plenty of surface area on top that he can actually loot out from. But problem is always going to be the pocket there. And there's no password to it. So he needs to get out and not even getting into the secret room in there.
Yeah, it's just so tough. He's kind of sandwiched in between, right? Like you're somewhere stuck in the underground as well as missile silo. So might as well commit to the missile silo if he's going to be able to do so. Zip continues to bank in those cash. Already at 2.4 after opening some of all these packages. And I believe that there's going to be a whole lot more left for the side of nongYing, as they have already taken down Boom Esports so early into this matchup. I guess, like, at least for 7-9, they will have their final laugh, because they're the ones surviving with the 2 members. And not so much for Boom Esports, who were the ones who really set up the trap early on. But it's really drawing to a close. You take a look at ETS, they also do have 6 million. So I feel like 7-9, they will be worrying about ETS a whole lot more as compared to Boom.
I don't know. When it comes to the overalls, we also have to put it in the factor that about the weekly bonus points do actually play a big part for whoever will get into the grand finals later as well. So we have to tally up the scores by end of this map to see if there's any swap and changes of the weekly point standings as well. Because so far, FLS still stands at number 1. 2 weeks in a row, they got 20 points. It's down to this final week and final day to see who will get into the top 6. So it matters so much for the teams that almost got around the 6th and 7th place. But for nongYing, they got them to 7 million worth. The next contender is going to be MCR.
MCR, let's see what kind of firepower do they offer on the table against nongYing, though. Well, it seems like the boss has been chilling into some of the sector as it goes in yellow, as you can see through some of all these walls. nongYing, though, they rate whatever they could, as they are already backing 7.4 mil. Now, they're already taking on the boss right up above, so there should be at least 8 million in the tank for the rest of nongYing. Meanwhile, the Lone Ranger of Team Mantap finding themselves the outskirts as Koza's been trailing onto these edges, found himself with pocket watch, but what he really has to watch out for is that player of ETS that's been very sneaky through the staircase.
Haley. Oh, Haley, been doing Haley stuff. Go back to relax mode, guys. Hopefully you guys listen to us like telling you storybooks. Hopefully you don't fall asleep here. We need a bit more energy. Come on, Control. We can do this. But
yeah.
Speaking of energy, don't forget your cup of coffee for the players down there because it's already noon and it's the 1st of September. It's a good month for all of you guys watching. Hopefully it's going to be a good month for MCR to finally get into the grand finals because right now the big names, what we do know when it comes to grand finals, fellas, are definitely going to be up there. Boom, possibly, depending on how they can actually play here today. nongYing, high chance they will be. These are the normal names, including FaZe Clan. So that's going to be add up to like, what, 4 teams right now that's kind of almost secured themselves the top 6. But there's only 2 more slots available. Well, MCR or Team Mantap going to be slightly difficult. But ETS have a high chance as well.
They absolutely do. They're really racing up against these numbers. And nongYing currently has 4 eliminations in the pocket as well. So it is going to be a slight gap that is being created just because of those takedowns. MCR on their approach. If they do eliminate members of nongYing, especially SOZip is around that tight area of the warehouse, perhaps they might actually drop certain values and hand it over to the side of MCR, who's currently having 700 in the back. Now, the countdown begins as eventually the extraction points will appear on the map. So that's about 10 minutes for them to play this one out. Still plenty of time for nongYing to settle whatever that's coming into these corners. SOZip has already spotted out some of these members of MCR now. Nades are being dropped right in. G9 also hunting out for one of the members over the back. Is not really having a good time, needing to also heal up. So this is going to be really tough to navigate, but they have all the info that they need. SOZip, they spot their movements, and there we go. Another pickoff, and that will be Aichan on the ground.
I'm looking at the numbers for the value of each players of nongYing. As it got almost 500,000 worth just now, so it won't actually break the numbers of nongYing yet. But across all the players of nongYing, who holds the highest value? MCR, they are at negative right now. So when it comes to value-wise, they won't worry too much if they get knocked down. But nongYing, they have to be extra careful. I think high chance is going to be G9 or even Martin. Maybe it's Martin with the most high value there. But back towards Andres, can he surprise nongYing from the back? Yeah, G9 got 55,000, so not so much. Is it Martin or Godot with the most high value?
It might just actually be him, Martin, because we haven't really seen him all around this corner of the map. He's got 1 elimination point at the very same time. It's pretty interesting on what's really going on here is they're taking separate fights, and it is indeed Martin. He's got the 5 million in the tank, and he's going to add a lot more.
But Martin have to stay alive. Last time we saw on top of the radiation zone, there's so many things going on, so many teams. Well, we're down to only 2 teams with a full squad here. Well, ETS, they already ejected one of their highest value players. So I assume that player will have around 5 to 6 millions already on top of the booted out players. So ETS, they have no elimination, no problem. But nongYing 8 eliminations, and Micah as well try to get those double-digit millions up. My Koza, ETS, is it a Koza or a loser? Sorry for Koza, I don't mean that. It's just a pun. But yeah, back to the side of ETS. They ejected one of their highest value player, but they try to gain as much loot as they can till the very last minute. It's just 2 million difference between ETS and nongYing right now. While 792 players remaining with Team Mantap last place still stands. Well, you can surprise us if you want by winning around and keeping the extraction point for the teams that have lesser players like 792 Team Mantap.
Yeah, and I believe that even if ATS books out right now, they will be happy enough with 6 mil, considering for what it's worth. With so little players left on the board, Haley has been able to take down one of the bosses, it seems, to be able to actually get some big benefits, or should I say, it's a player that he is after early on. So that's going to be some decent items for the taking. ETS on a very scattered approach to try to intervene the exit of nongYing, but nongYing nowhere to be seen. There should be an extraction point indoors of Missile Silo as well, so it's going to be a really long wait. I wonder if Sphinx later could find perhaps an ejection spot of his own, while Lantizi, he's also gating one for himself, or should I just say holding out so that Kinsyu and Ko will be able to just get out of this match safely. There's not too much to be gained here, unfortunately, for the side of 7-9, who's on the negative at the moment.
At least they got something by the end of the day. It won't be negative for the rankings, of course. They lost Louis early on. Mantap being finished off early, so it's going to be just one player again that's left in the game. He got himself 500,000. He got himself the extraction point too. But problem is, if there's somebody trying to take a map, there's going to be the last player of 7-9 with no covers, and it's an open space for the extraction point too. Haley have to fight this militant by himself. Well, that's going to be tough for that militant. Yeah, there you go. Still going to be A-okay for Haley. Lucky enough, a lot of teams already ejected most of their players, so there won't be any problem for Haley to just get out safely, and that's going to be worth $250,000 worth of value right now on the side of Team Mantap. Well, better something than nothing. But 7-9 and ETS, they're trying to just push a little bit more for the numbers. And nongYing too, they want to just complete into 10 million. It's close enough, but with 8 eliminations, that's 2.4 million converted into cash value as well. So they're already broken the numbers more than 10 millions by now.
Yeah, especially with Martin already booking out, there is already a guaranteed factor into how many they're taking in this match. Whereas ETS so far hugging on so many tight corners. Same goes to 7-9. It really feels like they're waiting for something that never arrives. So it's really down to the final 2 members of nongYing on how much more value can they actually carry inside of the radiation zone of Missile Silo. All playing by the bush. 7-9 just trying to be a little bit sneaky, as they do send SO as well as G9 to traverse on the outskirts, maybe trying to hunt out some of these players of 7-9 or even ETS if they could. So let's see, 7-9. If they want to, they can send one player out of the map to guarantee some value at the very least. Since they've already lost those 2 members, ETS, they could still stay around because they've already sent 1 member to extract, which I do believe to hold majority of that 6 million at the moment. While going on to the open course, they are battling with a tank. Okay, this is a rare sight. We have rarely seen players taking down tanks, and if it has anyone to do it, nongYing should be the one.
It's going to be interesting. This is the first time for me as well. The tank possessed. Seems to be in circles, rotating, trying to save himself from the explosion, but unfortunately the wheels are a bit too much, so the tank will be taken down by nongYing. For what purpose? Who knows? And that's going to be the purpose. The last red thingy they have. What will it be worth? There's some militants, 3 minutes on the clock, so they have plenty of time. It's a gold bar, by the way, for the tanks too. I mean, I didn't know that, but thanks for giving us the tips, nongYing. I think some players will probably just go and find the tanks instead after this. Who needs values of boss or whatever, zombies or radiation zone, if you can just fight the tanks that basically not fighting back?
Yeah, and I do spot that there was a machine gun that you could actually take from the tank as well. But G9, honestly, with his firepower, he probably doesn't need it, though that item could basically be worth certain valuation as well. But hey, they found themselves an extraction point. ETS, they're holding out, but are these members of nongYing actually walking to this direction? It seems to be apparently not. So I guess with only 2 minutes and a half left, ETS should be well on their way out. Songhai now carries 300 over K. Usually we're the ones to see him take the most value out of this, but I guess they've already made certain assignments to be able to at least have Bents to be the one carrying majority of these numbers. So everything's going to be fine. We're just going to be waiting for the instruction for all the teams involved.
ETS. Well, I think nongYing definitely going to hit the 10 million mark by now. Yep, it's going to be no problem. Here comes the green smoke that everybody loves whenever they want to exit out. Is a party time for them. But will it be a clear out and extraction point for the teams out there? We're going to have to wait and see. ETS hoping they will try to get somebody in the very last minute. But time is pretty much not on their side. With 1 minute over, just slightly over 30 seconds. It's going to be no more ejection time later on. So, ETS, I don't think anybody will cross path with them. Just get out. It's fine. You're doing 6 million. You're going to get something. You're going to get a lot. But for Sam9, though, I want to see that 2 players remaining coming up from Sam9. And they're thinking naughty here coming from ETS. But nongYing, and they already extracted himself out as well. At almost close to 10 million. As it try to make sure the numbers are going to, just put up the value. But ETS, yeah, let's fly into the sky.
Fly into the sky with a lot of dough. And they will achieve 6.2 million in this round itself. Good effort being displayed. Now nongYing only has 1 member left to eject. Less than 1 minute on the clock. SO has got to make his way through. While Lantizi as well as Sam9, they are already off of the lobby. I guess they managed to do some decent looting while they have these 2 members stay alive. And random shots coming from SO to say, okay, we are done and we are absolutely out of here. Beautiful work from nongYing to take the top spot.
A redemption week for nongYing compared to the first 2 weeks of the group stage. They've been fighting and brawling all the time, having no care in the world when it comes to loot phase. Now, finally, they make a difference. Yeah, and look at how much the numbers actually changed for nongYing. Well, speaking of coming back in the last minute, nongYing knows how to come back in style to get into the grand finals with 9 million worth, almost hitting that 10. Just 200,000, barely 200,000 to actually make it into 10. But after those elimination points, it's safe to say they have more than 10 millions by end of that map.
Yeah, by taking down 8 players has been so impressive that they didn't even lose any players from their side at all. So nongYing, we already know that they are excellent fighters when it comes down to dueling a team. From those couple of weeks that they were rowdy, they were hunting out teams, and there are times that they got picked off. This week, they are looking super clean, and they could even take that number 1 spot to get the maximum bonus points that they could. It really depends whether they can match up to their brothers and sisters from FaZe Clan. So that really depends. But more often than not, with such a result, nongYing should have just about sufficient points to be able to make it to the grand finals as one of the spectacular teams that has been super efficient here in this Metro Royale mode. I feel like these boys can really do it all, right? We've seen them from the early days where they make their debut from 2018. With so much experience on Battle Royale and now heading into Metro Royale, they have really shown why they have been some of the best players that comes out from the region of Thailand.
I mean, for nongYing, this final week seems to be clean, but when it comes to the first 2 weeks, it wasn't that clean at all. They are at the very bottom of the list. So we're going to have to add up for the weekly points to see if they still can make it to the grand finals or not, or will their pass haunt them and punish them in the very last minute due to the points that will not make it through. So that's the fun part of it. When it comes to the final week, there's so many things changes between the team's fundamentals and strategy here. Yes, I agree, nongYing, when it comes to Battle Royale, we never question about their firepower. But when it comes to strategy, and you have to be greedy sometimes in the Metro Royale mode, it's all about the money and the bling bling, ka-ching, ka-ching, right? So nongYing, they have to change mindset because there's a very 2 different mode between these. Even though it's the same game, PUBG Mobile, but it's Metro Royale and Battle Royale. There's a reason why it's called Metro Royale in the first place.
True enough, and overall, like they've definitely made that certain adaptation, like you said, and they're looking better than ever. But if they were to be pit up against FaZe Clan, who also loves to take battles and also have the same mindset of having the loots first, I honestly wonder who will be the ones on top. And honestly, I can't wait to see what happens in the grand finals, whoever makes it through, right? But with names like FaZe Clan as well as Fellas ID to be one of the hot favorites, when they go for the battle, I honestly will be maybe biting even my fingernails to actually see which team will actually best one another, and we might even see very close races in terms of how teams will be able to bring more value. It could be the matter of just a single Metro dollar in the game to make a certain possibility of difference when it comes to position. I mean, maybe I exaggerate a little bit because like it always comes by the thousands as well as millions. But we'll see the match ranking right now as we have nongYing taking the top of the podium, starting things off with 12.2 million. That is astounding.
I'm not impressed yet, because I do know when it comes to Octobase, you can actually get more than this. We've seen almost 17 million, over 17 million before, but maybe because of how many teams try to take them down for nongYing, that's going to be 8 eliminations on top of that over 9 million of team earnings before. But on the side of MCR and Boom, unfortunately, they take matters into their hands, and this is going to be them reprimanded by no team earning by end of this map. There's going to be only worth of those eliminations. But for 7-9, Team Mantap, unfortunately, they lost entire team except for that one particular player, which was Haley. Haley managed to translate into some points down there. Still plenty on the side of Team Mantap by himself. So when it comes to Team Mantap, I mean, props to Haley. He did something for the team by end of this map.
Yeah, Haley at least squeezes some points back for the entirety of the squad. Whereas 7-9, they lose those two members. They almost brought back 500,000 into this matchup, so everybody walks away with a little something as nobody is left empty-handed. So I am happy with the current results, especially with also Team Mantap suffering some early casualties. So this is the best form of results that we could do. And I do agree, you know, nongYing might have actually walked out with maybe the entire area to be lit up, but we saw ETS taking one section of the missile silo, and therefore they have taken at least those 6 million away. It was Martin that carries the most loot for nongYing with a total of 5.3 million. And not only did he carry most of all these value, he was also involved in the battle against Boom Esports.
Yeah, I mean, Martin probably be treated as a queen or a princess, just now being guarded, heavily guarded by bodyguards of nongYing players. You have to make sure, despite he wants to go and open fire, because we do know Martin, when it comes to firepower-wise, he loved the fight. He used to be one of the players of Eliminate the Murder back in his peak time and prime time. But nongYing, they got into the Missile Silo one of the earliest, but Boom was there as well. We talked about how many teams tried to take on top of Missile Silo. It feels like all of them went into Missile Silo at this point. And Kim 7-9 will be forced to get out and just try to find surface area. Same goes for ETS and Team Mantap, because nongYing has defended Missile Silo the longest. And look at how they just took out MCR in the last minute as well. It was just poof, gone for MCR players.
Yeah, it was a tough ordeal for the members of MCR, but overall, you know, like other than 7-9 as well as one other squad that didn't really make it into Missile Silo due to all these external factors, now we get to see the values all added up, and nongYing is racing up against FaZe Clan to challenge that #1 spot with that 31 million. They're drawing very closely. Fellas, despite not playing the matches just yet, they still find themselves some chance to look for that #1 spot too. But ETS continues to thrive as they position even better heading into this third week. 13 mil cashed in. HLV as well as Prime to make up for top 5 and top 6 respectively.
Now, I'm looking at the numbers. How nongYing pushed themselves from the third place to the second place. That fella's definitely not feeling happy about this. They're not taking that #1 spot. They feel like, we'll be in challenge here when it comes to the final week. But Team Mantap, I mean, they have a lot of opportunities still when it comes to today. They're going to play it all day here when it comes to the rest of the map. So they can budge off from that 12th place, but they have to push all the way up, because we saw Team Mantap when it comes to their weekly points. It wasn't so great, so they have to score more when it comes to the weekly points for this week. But still gonna be domination of the entire regions. FaZe Clan and nongYing. It's gonna be them only taking the first half of the day.
That's right. And Chuchu, you know, like I'm just really hoping for some really surprising movements coming in from some teams that are maybe desperate for those points out there. So I really want to see those shenanigans happen in the late game. But you know what? Inside of PUBG Mobile, there's a whole lot to offer.
My turn now, huh?
Yeah.
App voice. PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival is officially open. Call your friends to join a pirate bash. Explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area, Pirates Booty Island, and collect airdrop tokens and head to the Airdrop Carnival in-game event. Upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice. During the Airdrop Carnival, get daily rating protection for 2 matches. And don't forget to jump into the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate. And have a great day!
Kawaii desu. And here is the... How do I even make this voice? The Galadriel X-Suit is now available from the August till the end of September. The first draw is always at 10 UC, where you can get yourself the upgradable advanced MG tree that is exclusive for the Galadriel set. So make sure you go ahead and spin it to win it.
I swear to God, it's not having tummy ache, guys, so don't worry about it.
I actually do.
I would slap myself for the first one, but for you, I don't know. Are you okay? Do you need to go to the toilet here today?
I probably have to, but we don't have any break time, so we will carry on. I just have to hold it all the way in. So that's probably the
I wish
reason
our
why.
director can actually put up one voice acting just for once, just to listen from his side too, you know?
Yeah.
I do want to see if he can actually pull out a tiger sound.
Yeah.
Just because.
Just because, you know.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Okay. Thanks for that. Thanks for that meme, by the way. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, speaking of which, we have back to its B and D rotation. Speaking of Group B and Group D, we have still nongYing in the play. For nongYing, they didn't stay here for the entire day. So that's going to be difficult for the teams like Fellas ID for Group C later on, which is going to be the ending of our round of rotations here today. Because nongYing right now gotten themselves the momentum that they need. They will not go into a fight unless necessary. And I love the fact they got their fundamentals and their technique seems to be polished when it comes to the final week here. And it's refreshing to see when it comes to the teams dominating across for the maps. It's been a lot of the tied regions here.
Yeah, I absolutely do agree. Like, if we compare them as well as FaZe Clan as well as Fellas ID at the very same time, the main difference is that for nongYing, they are also very eager to be participating in those battles, even when they have the highest ticket value of items. Like, you saw the coordinated attack when they played Misty Port yesterday, where the expected visitors at Prime didn't even stand a chance because they already have, you know, a lurker hiding behind with G9, just relaying that info back. They also do have all these members to be set on the high ground, with Goddard taking a lot of charge over onto the high ground. So now moving into this matchup, we'll have to see again if nongYing is gonna pull up those crazy amount of points, or could it be redemption time for the teams that may not have had the best time in Arctic Base. So it's time for us to find out here in Misty Port. Immediately shots fired at Mantap. What?
Bro, we didn't
started.
even load into the game yet. Calm down there, buddy. It's I'm not yet. Don't know what's the rivalry between these two teams, but it's back to week 1 rivalry between these two. It's getting personal when it comes to the final week again. Now it's back to a 7-9 nongYing. Like what? This is gonna be the 5th time now if you compare with those of the week number 1. So I think they want revenge here for nongYing and 7-9.
Oh yeah, they have yet to fully settle the score. So long as they share the same lobby, there's definitely bound to be strikes, and both of them spawning so closely, which is why these type of battles are happening. As you know, even back in the days, you remember Mantap used to face off against G9 and all these other squads. So it really is a throwback to those sort of scenario with, you know, a little bit more of a fresh faces coming in from 7-9 this time around. But it looks like a 1-for-1 exchange, or should I say 2 members have been taken down from 7-9 at the moment. So Mantap will have to be super careful, especially now even MCR wants to butt in.
MetroCeria wants to make some change. I mean, like, they want to join in the big boys. Let's go, MCR. We're not playing it safe anymore. I love this. It means that there's only going to be 3 teams that manage to get themselves some loot when it comes to this map, if this keep on going. But when it comes to Boom, they cannot, you know, invest too much time. They're definitely not interested when it comes to getting those brawls and fight. They're just going to go straight for the Misa side. Oh, sorry, this is going to be the Mines Warehouse. They're already in there for Boom. So for Boom, they definitely won't be part of this kerfuffle. While 7-9 and nongYing both desperately trying to have more pockets since they're left with nearly 2 players each. And for nongYing, at least they have 3 players. So I think it's best for them to part ways. But MCR, the moment they just arrived, nobody wants to be their friends. It's like, no, MCR, it's not fun anymore. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. It's like, these guys, they're not the cool kids. They can't hang with us. So let's go to the cooler portion of the map instead and get ourselves some good Metro cash. Meanwhile, Martin is still on the outskirts. They're being super careful right now because they already lost G9. That's one big portion of firepower that they have gotten taken out of this particular map. But for Mamparang, he's not even considering moving all too much because he knows that MCR, they're wrapping things around. So realistically, can Mamparang survive? And where's the other member of 7-9? I wonder if he's going to be around to give Man a little bit of a helping hand because he looks like he really does need it.
Hey, come on, Mamparang. Show us what you're made of. You know, maybe he can surprise us with a clutch. He's an OG, he can do this, but it's Andres we're talking about. When it comes to firepower, Andres do have it and is capable of taking 1v1 and maybe 1v2 situations. So we're going to wait and see, but it's going to be time burned by these players, wasting time against the Brawls. Mamparang, he tried, but he couldn't do it, but at least he got one knocked down, but unfortunately, no follow-up, and there's going to be I-Chan finish off Mampa, and MCR managed to survive for this round without any trade-off.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Hafiz on his side is going to be saying, Arigato, I-Chan, and continue on this way. So Luyu, he's going to be going for perhaps a takedown, but quickly getting scouted from the side of Ocha. This is just looking tougher and tougher. It doesn't seem like there's any good rounds coming from 7-9 for today, which is absolutely worrisome considering that this is going to be the final few matches to be played out by the side of 7-9. But Luyu, if he's gonna go down, he's gonna go down fighting, and that Nate connects. What a lop! He's gonna find all 3 members. What on earth was that, Luyu? Oh, it's payback time. MetroCeria, we didn't invite you to the party, but if you want to, Luyu is going to be just putting up a storm on the dance floor.
I mean, sorry, Mampa, but Luyu plays it better than you do. It was 1-1v3, but hey, fair enough. MCR didn't have a clue that he's there. But for Luyu, can he finish off the rest of remaining members of MCR? Well, Ocha's just running over this side. Unfortunately, his rescue mission is a bit too late. He was busy looting up for MCR just now, with the rest of MCR taking some frags in the front. There's going to be I-Chan. Got finished off by Luyu. And back to his side of Luyu, he got himself quite a hefty amount of loot around him just within that frag and brawls just now. But 7-9 is the last remaining member. I mean, if he can finish off the last member of MCR and that scores of 5 eliminations, still quite a hefty amount of value by the end of the day.
Yeah, and on top of that, I feel like Luyu's got nothing to lose at the moment. So if you can get one more pick off, that's 1.2 million added to the table. And he could continue to loot off as well to see if he could basically bring that value up to perhaps 3 million if he's going to be lucky enough to actually find those gold bars or anything left in the map. But this long-range battle is just taking a lot of time. So 14 minutes left on the clock. Maybe it's just best for them to part ways and maybe meet up later on. Like, this is not really a map that is too far and wide for them to really navigate. So there should be just about enough space. Luyu now decides, okay, I think I have enough of MCR. It's way past the emo era at the very least.
How do you know that's what he said? How do you know that? You don't even listen to what he said. Do you know that? How did you even know?
I'm just making assumptions. I'm making assumptions overall.
So you're assuming. Ocha, do tell us it's not true. There's no way that's going to be true, right? For 7-9 Luyu, I don't think so. Because Luyu is not budging at all. So why did you assume that? No, never mind. I was just joking. But 7-9 Luyu, I feel like if he can, why not? And Ocha's like, This is me not assuming. I know, okay? I know. OJ is like, he's watching. And speaking of timer, right? We still have 13 minutes. That's plenty of time for the teams on the top of radiation zone. Example, ETS, they can actually loot up as much as they want. I do feel there's any contention coming up from the outside factor, including Boom. That puts me in another question here. Where are Boom? Where are they looting from with the numbers up to 1.2 million values? Is it outside? I think it's going to be outside looting, right?
Yeah, they're going to be on the outskirts, and Boom, they're definitely taking a lot more precaution because the last that we saw them directly moving to missile silo, they instantly getting clipped from nongYing. They don't want the same ordeal to happen again. So they play it safely because in some parts of this township, you could still maybe gather at the very least 2 million or so. So it's not too shabby after all for Boom Esports that wants to gather just about enough points to make a top six return. But it seems like these disputing couples have yet to really put an end to their argument. The chase is still on, and it really seems like Ocha could basically sing the song, every move you take, every move I make, I'll be watching you. Oh, there we go. Tries to trade back, and MCR has the last laugh. My word, they managed to finally take it down. Not creepy
at all when he actually sang that song while watching that, but yeah, okay.
It is a creepy song, actually. Very creepy song.
But yeah, speaking of Bojack revenges, we managed to get back what they have lost before. Unfortunately, 7-9, we have to go down with a 0 when it comes to the earning of players. But at least they got themselves 4 eliminations. That's translated to 1.2 million still when it comes to the value-wise. But it's also all when it comes to the overall rankings later. And so far, 7-9 did not have the most out of loot. Most of their numbers coming out from those players' elimination. But we do know if you compare with loot and players' elimination, loot is going to be more valuable and more of a, security to get into the grand finals here.
Absolutely do agree. And over here, it's going to be Mantap that will be taking some areas of what I deem to be the school, in fact. Has plenty of loots to go by, so they'll be happy with this decent start. And nongYing having SOC to be around the corner, heard those gunshots. So Team Mantap, they got to be on their watchful eyes. Speaking of which, SOC immediately clips one on the outskirts. So Mantap, they will try to basically defend this area of play. nongYing, this is a very different approach that we're seeing from the squad. They're still taking the sweet time from the outskirts. They have not really moved too far off, it seems, into the mine warehouses. Well, SO has already moved right in there. So Mantap, are they ready to actually go for a duel against nongYing?
Feel like nongYing gonna play all this while for this last few run of this map. For gatekeepers, they're probably going to gatekeep all the teams when they try to extraction point and try to exit themselves out of the map. Martin will found himself some Team Mantap around the corners. If you just have a peek around the window or the balcony area, you can actually visualize one players of Mantap. Yep, he heard those footsteps. Going to go for the spray. Still going to hit on Noel. From the back, it's going to be Martin, finish him off, and might as well get the loot out of the players of Team Mantap San. And this is what happened to Team Mantap multiple times before, and happening again.
Yeah, and one after another day, just getting picked off cleanly by these members of nongYing for the moment. So there's just no safe area of play for Team Mantap. But I definitely do commend their attempt to try to go for a certain area that's a lot higher in terms of loot value. So they're absolutely trying their hardest to actually go for a push. It's just that it's unfortunate that nongYing wants this spot as well. So they have to give way. So that adds up a whole lot for nongYing for the moment. Whereas the rest of ETS, they could very well be one of the first to be inside of the mining fields. So they've already looted up to the point of 6 million. Is probably looking for that exit. Now, keep in mind, Boom, they always play through these passages. So that is where trouble lies ahead for ETS.
3 teams will actually get more numbers compared to all the others. MCR will just play around the on the end of the world corners. I think probably got some extraction point around there somewhere. But high chance this team won't actually... thanks for this. I love this view. This is going to be the tunnel view. Finally, we're going to get this view. It's been a while that I waited for this. But ETS tried to gatekeep nongYing when they're trying to get out. But nongYing's quite close towards the extraction point right on top of them as well if they want to get out towards the left side of the tunnel exit. But ETS, will there be in time just to catch nongYing while they are on their way to the escape pod of getting out of this map?
Yeah, just a very tight area of play for all these teams to really squeeze right past. And the biggest target has to be the members of ETS at the moment, carrying about 6.5 million at the moment. I'm Jago. In such a tough quarter, just having multi setups right through. Well, these guys, they're definitely onto something right now. But how much longer will they have to wait? There's 7 minutes left on the clock. ETS have found an alternative route, and they are already looking for the extraction point. So this is definitely going to be rather interesting on how these teams have been waiting around the wings and might actually walk away with nothing at all.
And they're right on top of Boom right now. If Boom will actually reach on time and spot it out where ETS try to extract themselves out. Speaking of which, this is going to be perfect time. ETS have to get out now. Boom is coming up and they don't have that much time anymore. I think they heard the footsteps too. ETS, eject now. Sound. They got, a 250,000, but they managed to escape all 3 of them. It was close. Ooh. Yeah, and back towards the side of nongYing. Can they actually catch the Boom players here? Boom managed to just missed ETS in the very last moment and very last minute too. For the side of Boom, we want to see their position. Will they actually collide against nongYing? Now back to its last player of MCR. Last time we saw them, or saw him, that one particular player of MCR, he was actually at the southwest side, very far around the corner, around the countryside. Nobody knows where he's at. Isolated somewhere. That's going to be Ocha. Yeah, he's definitely isolated here right now. But instead of MCR, they are going for an exit around 300,000. So 300,000 is going to be enough, like how Haley did for Team Mantap before. So it's better something than nothing. But for nongYing, will they be sharing with Boom? Because right now they're going back into the tunnel, knowing they have 5 more minutes left. Martin and Assozip want to brew up some trouble. They're being naughty here for Martin and Assozip. They might tail out Boom players from behind. Now looking at Boom, it's probably going to be around 50 meters apart from where nongYing was, but Boom is trying to extract themselves out. So it's all about matter of time, playing catch between these 2 teams.
Yeah, and there's just so little time left. 4 minutes. If they're still in between, they may not even make it at all. Boy, oh boy. Boom Esports, at least, they got themselves some hefty points for 2.3 million at the moment. So it should be very good for them to actually book out, considering the fact that nongYing this time took a very different approach where they have lesser points compared to the rest of the members of ETS. ETS, with that one member caught out, at the very least, they still have very decent track record heading into this match with that 6.5 M to be secured already. So 4 minutes, definitely no other time for them to actually do that. So for the rest of nongYing, they should be well on their own courses. The rest of the mining fields, which they've just arrived at the scene, may only barely offer them a couple loots. Other than that, is there going to be an extraction point here with only 3.5 minutes? And now bumping into the rest of Boom, they have to settle the scores or else none of these teams will be able to make it out with any points at all.
Yeah, I think nongYing will try to find a couple of eliminations at the very last minute. Try to just unstabilize Boom's lineup here and break their formation. Maybe just trying to take the numbers down in the very last minute if they can catch Pyro. That's going to be the player with the most loot. So far, he's going to be the leader for the team at 2.08 million. Now he's trying to find himself an extraction point. For nongYing, they know exactly where the extraction point for the team was just now since they booted out one of the players. But they just want to disrupt the numbers for Boom. And the fight will commence now with 3 minutes left on top of the timer here. Whoever not being eliminated have to bomb himself out, because if not, the whole crew ended up with the 0.
Yeah, this late fight is what we have been waiting for. This is going to be turmoil for teams that do not even get much out of the situation. While Martin is being sent to just go for that full duke out, spotting out that member running right across the corner. What more can they actually offer? Fire now will be taken down by SO-Zip. And nongYing just showing their prowess in these battles, while they now will have to rely on Raze to carry the flag for Boom Esports. It's all in or nothing. Boom Esports barely has just about enough loot. Raze currently holding on to 200,000. Meanwhile, the other member has about 100K in their bag. So if they want to salvage whatever there is, there's only 300K for them to book out this match.
At least better than nothing still. Boom, on the other hand, speaking of time, 1 minute more, just less than 2 minutes here on the clock, and there's no extraction point around here somewhere, because last we saw nongYing, they were trying to eject out of this place. So, I mean, for nongYing players, yeah, they got themselves quite a good score up there, but the problem is if they don't extract themselves out, none of the point that they gathered all this while Mantap will go down in vain. Since Assassin and Martis did not boot themselves out yet, so they try to do the same for Raze. They have to reserve themselves a couple of hand grenades, and Molly try to burn themselves out in case they couldn't make it to the extraction point too. So they kind of overuse it, but on the side of Raze, he still got plenty, but Raze been finished off. That's gonna be the last member of Boom, so they only scored something for Boom, unfortunately. The last minute help coming up from nongYing really hurt them a lot when it comes to the value by the end of this run.
Yeah, and take a look at this. Martin has got 900K. This value is worth a lot for them to really catch up to. But where is the extraction zone? Meanwhile, MCR, even despite being on the outskirts, is still trying to find the extraction zone. Thankfully, there's one just around the corner of the shore. So Ocha will be able to at least bring back 341K at the moment, and also securing those elimination points against M9 has done them real good in this match. MCR continues to rack up plentiful of points despite, having those early shenanigans. nongYing has already booted themselves off, and therefore it will be ETS with the most points possible.
Oh, it's going to be a really personal battle for our Misty Port later. There was the last round between the Misty Port here for BND, if I'm not mistaken, right? But when it comes to nongYing versus Boom, things got really personal because they are in the same Group B. So we're going to have these two teams going at each other again once more. And ATFs, this is definitely going to play them so big when it comes to the overall rankings later to make it to the grand finals. So all they need to do is just keep this going since they are in a Group D. So they're going to play no more round, I think. That's done for Group D here. But for match 5 and 6, it's going to be B versus C. So for ETS, they had a really good wrap around for their last run in the final week of group stage, but not so much for MCR or SEM9.
Yeah, and I guess it's been such a tough day for SEM9 where every single time in the early game, they get themselves into those battles and didn't really manage to get that many points. At the very least, they have relied on Luyu to be able to secure those 3 elimination points. So it wasn't an empty-handed round for some of all these members of SEM9. And MCR, this is some of the best rounds that we've actually seen from them. Last game, before we move into Misty Port, they managed to catch 2 members of the side of what seemed to be some players of FaZe Clan or so, that was rounds ago. And now moving into this matchup, they also booked in the same amount of elimination points against SEM9 and still have a decent amount of loot possible. So they are absolutely maintaining a form of a pace. So we are seeing teams here coming in with at least 1 million or so, not too shabby, while ETS, they got that smooth passage as compared to nongYing that spotted out 7-9. Literally, even before we even had the camera on them, they're already battling out. So you can see how intense it was.
Yeah, nongYing 7-9 getting personal, but next we don't have 7-9 against nongYing, but nongYing against Boom to finish off Boom last minute to go to his extraction point and disrupt the entire crew of Boom when they try to find an exit out. That's like you just poke a beehive just now for the side of nongYing. I don't want to see Boom take it personal when it comes against nongYing later on if they want to go against it. Because this is going to be one of the top teams that do love those brawls too. Speaking of Boom, when it comes to their firepower, they are amazing. As much as nongYing can actually pull that off, they can do it the same. So for nongYing, they just got himself some rivalry against Boom Esports. Especially, you had so much value. And then get a surprise attack at like, what, 2 minutes on the clock? That's crazy tight, man.
Yeah, it is so tight. And I was just really surprised on how nongYing has been able to really get all of that being done. So that was like, what 8 elimination points for nongYing. And from what I saw from the minimap, well, of course, some of these teams were extracting. nongYing were also forced to actually take themselves out. So Martin did not really cash out that extra 900k. That could have actually been supplementary, but for what they've gotten so far, those elimination points do make up for it. So at least that's a couple more million in the table for themselves. ETS so far regaining that form of a qualifier championship mindset. They are definitely here to prove that they can be high quality contenders up against, eventually we might even see them challenge names like Fellas ID as well as FaZe Clan. Just look at how they've been playing so far here in the finals.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we have to see the numbers. I cannot wait and see, like, we have one more group rotation, which could be B versus C after this. HLV, Fellas ID. Now, this is going to be fun because Fellas ID or Fellas do want to take back their #1 spot. And so far, FaZe Clan still stand at #1. The last time we saw him before this map wrap around. FaZe Clan, will they be overtaken by nongYing? Since nongYing do have some disruption in the very last minute when it comes to loot-wise, it wasn't as much as value. So nongYing was at #2. Fellas ID got pushed down all the way to the 3rd place just now because Fellas ID never dropped from #1 spot ever for the past few weeks in week 1 and week 2. So they definitely feel challenged for the fact that, this week we get pushed down all the way to 3rd place. With 2 more maps remaining, they're probably going to try to find Mantap or Boom or even nongYing to finish them all because this is going to be the teams that are coming up from Group B. Because knowing HLV, they also love the fight. So this is going to be super fun because B and C both teams, except for Team Mantap, of course. There's 5 teams, except for Mantap, they all love the brawl so much. Now, Mantap, all they need to do is just run away from these teams.
They just gotta hide somewhere, and even despite Team Mantap was hiding away from nongYing, it seems like they will eventually scout it out ahead. So let's take a look at the match rankings real quick before we move into the next group. So it's ETS bagging the most points with 7.2 mil. Coming in closely is going to be 3.4 achieved by nongYing. And MCR, they have managed to best 7-9 only by 34,000 as they are now making into the top 3. So that itself was beautiful to watch.
And this is... I'm sorry, I know he's the chosen one, but it reminds me, ETS, every single time they're being charged or ambushed by a team, Sphinx is always the first one to go down. It's actually diluted for the team as well. I'm surprised they're actually taking the front line every single time they're being ambushed as well. So Sphinx, finally we get to see you on top in the chosen one leaderboard for the MVP of the run at around almost 4 million, yeah, at 3 point something, just barely 3 point, almost 4 million worth of value. But when we looked at how the rotation of the teams here just now, Team Mantap were trying to, get it peacefully done and going to Garden Mines and just slowly getting into my warehouse, just a tiny bit, playing around the surface area, but still got caught out with nongYing by the end of the day.
Yeah, like overall, it was so interesting to just see all the sort of scuffles over on the outskirts, and then it was only like Ocha over on the other corner, which he's done excellently by eventually taking down that final member of 7-9, and it was just a lot more straightforward until the point where nongYing has bested those members of Boom Esports. So as it stands, nongYing still remains to be on number 2, where ETS pushes and pushes up ahead, 9 million shy to catch up to Fellas ID. So I think for what we've seen so far, ETS have really shown us some really strong results. Now it's down to HLV, which will appear in the upcoming games, to try to see if they could overtake ETS and remain to be within the top 5 ratio. Sem9, this was probably their final couple of games to be played out, so at least they managed to make it into the top 6. But Boom, is there going to be any chance for them to bounce back up? I really do wonder, as they're now sliding into number 8 because of all these attacks that they were receiving, so they did not get points throughout those rounds.
I mean, like, Boom definitely have the firepower to, and it's doable for them. Last time we saw in the past 2 weeks, they can secure those teens of millions by the end of each of the maps, especially Arctic base, of course. But when it comes to Misty Port, it depends, because Misty Port is a higher chance for you to actually fight against the other teams. But it's still going to be the domination of the Dark region teams. FaZe Clan, nongYing, ETS. No Indonesian team, surprisingly. When it comes to week 1, week 2, there's a lot of Boom, there's a lot of Fellas ID. And barely got any tidings, but here comes the rise of the tides when it comes to the final week.
Yeah, if there's anyone to be able to stop the Thai region with their current streak going on, it definitely has to be Fellas ID. We'll keep a watchful eye on that, Choo. But of course, we do want to give these players a little bit of time to re-strategize, because different teams coming in means different playstyle. And we definitely look forward to this final group, because you've mentioned that it is going to be super explosive. Mantap, I hope that they're going to join in the party as well. So end it with a bang, might as well, because honestly, nothing for them to lose. So might as well have a whole lot of fun in this Metro Royale mode. You guys can also check out this game mode happening within PUBG Mobile. Usually it's for a certain limited time where we have certain rotations, but of course, while it's up available, you guys can go ahead and invite your friends to play. So in a couple of minutes, we'll be back for our final 2 maps to conclude our group stages. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, ladies and gents, as we're down to our final 2 games remaining here in the group stages of Metro Royale action here in the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia. So it's always going to be Choo Choo as well as I to bring you all the fun and excitement. And this one's going to be explosive with Group B versus C. But before we begin, I guess it's time for us to give you guys a little bit of a shout out of what's going on inside the game. We have the Airdrop Carnival Pirate Bash.
Yeah, no, you do it this time, man.
Okay, let me just pull up what's in store with the activities. Explore the Ocean Odyssey New Team Area Pirate Building Island. Collect airdrop tokens and head to the Airdrop Carnival in-game event for your chance to get a guaranteed set or email of your choice. If you upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 during the Airdrop Carnival, get daily rating protection for 2 matches. And don't forget to jump into the game from August 16 to 18. Open your airdrop and have a great day.
I hope he's okay. A new Axsuit is available for you guys. The Galadria Axsuit plus the advanced upgradable MG3 is now available in the game. To join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfit awards from 6th of August up to the 30th of September. Don't forget, it's based on the time zone UTC +0, so make sure you log into your game and get yourself a new Axsuit.
Well, that echoes in my mind, my heart, and my soul. I will always remember that there is the Galadria X-Suit up for grabs.
What?
Galadria X-Suit. Okay, make it sound smoother. Galadria X-Suit. Okay, here we go. 10 more seconds.
Okay. So at the site, guys, we're back to the donut map. Who will get missile silo? Let's jump straight into Arctic base. We'll have any skirmish early. Now we have a panoramic view. Thank you so much, observers. You guys the best. But Team Mantap, it's run or hide time for them. Whether they want to take in the fight with the rest of the team that crazy for the firepower, or they can just hide it away. But they are in the northern side, so like it or not, they might actually have to cross path against a Shelby or even nongYing if they go down south.
Yeah, there is a very firm passage that could easily journey their way into the missile silo if they want to, but they're just taking it slow, making sure that there's not going to be teams that will be meeting up against them and their hurdle. While we take a look at the rest of Hasta La Vista, FaZe Bay are currently smack dab in the middle of both Arkong and also some of these members of Team Mantap. We do know for a fact that Ate loves to pick up fights, but do they really want to this early? We will definitely wonder about that as they're taking a very careful approach onto their surroundings. Very typical start for most of these players here inside Metro Royale, but for the moment, I'm just hoping to see that one crazy team to just not care about safety and just run directly to the middle just to get those initial loots, because it's just going to be millions and millions of points waiting for them in the middle.
And also a million of people waiting for them in the center too, just to knock them down. So we're going to have to wait and see. Will they actually resort to violence or just going to go for the shopping spree time? But when it comes to Hasta La Vista, like you mentioned, Atel really love those skirmishes. And Mantap, hello, Noel. Hey, buddy. And that's going to be down on the ground, sliding down the slides too. I mean, going out in a style. That's going to be Team Mantap. Unfortunately, one of the players taken out. That's going to be the second one to follow pursuit. That's going to be I jump, you jump moment, I guess, on the side of Team Mantap here.
Well, that was a very quick hello and a very quick goodbye at the very same time. FaZe Bay is the one to take both of them down. And, even with FaZe Bay going up against Noel, that was that perfect opportunity to strike coming from the back, which I'm not too sure if Team Mantap managed to actually spot him up clearly. And now down to Irene as well as Haley, as the ladies are going to be looking to get themselves into a different approach. So probably we'll be seeing Team Mantap playing by the outskirts. They're moving further and further away from what seemed to be the missile silo. So it's just going to be a little bit of a cold day out in the snow dumpster diving already this soon. Meanwhile, as we do expect, we always have nongYing that will be eager to take those loots as they are the first movers, but they will be joined by Boom Esports in a moment's time.
FLS, Boom Esport, nongYing on top of each other, right where the radiation zone seems to be one of the hardest spot here for the teams that try to go for the numbers, especially FLS. I'm looking for if there are any teams that will challenge them here, because FLS is one of the teams that are holding the grudge if they're being bombarded early on in this map. nongYing, FLS do try to chase their numbers up, but when it comes to HLVA, they're going to play on the surface area. Unless if they be interested to be right at the very tunnel area as well, because they can actually go there. But I think the best case scenario is going to be one team trying to just loot up from the surface. Will actually have more advantage than the one going into the radiation zone, because there's too many people down here.
Yeah, and it's all about making sure that all other teams don't survive the radiation zone. You have to take them down in order to maximize your loot value and steal away whatever that these other squads have been able to accrue throughout the course of the round. G9 over on the top of the warehouse, whereas it's been a wide scatter for the rest of FaZe ID. They've been remaining safe for most part, but for how long is going to be the question here. Got it also cutting across. They're absolutely out for blood if they could. Whereas, take a look at this, Boom Esports. They're sending a full squad against Arya as well as another member of FaZe ID.
Oh, well, it's going to be game time now for these four teams. HLV, I mean, they don't have to come down here. If they want to, well, nobody's stopping them, but it would be better for them to be up on the surface area. Arya usually is going to be the leader for the side of FLS. Definitely going to give a lot of high-value information towards FLS, but unfortunately, he's being knocked down before reunite with the rest of the team. Now, FLS, they have to respond to this ASAP, and the respawn will be them opening up the smoke to save their looters, which is going to be Arya. Unfortunately, there'll be some zombies laying around too, so that giving away the rest of FLS position and land, it bounced back for him to toss the smokes to the side of Arya to save him. Unfortunately, they lost Arya and a bit too far from him to reach out to save him. And G9 and the rest of nongYing, they got themselves more value when it comes to being eliminated, and the third party might be winning this. Perhaps just gonna be Boom.
Yeah, but of course, nongYing is also taking careful precautions right there for them to still look around the far corners. nongYing, they got 4.8, and fellas are casually overtaking them by just taking the bigger portion of the pie. And I just love what's really going on between these three teams. Boom, despite being a little late, they also cash in close to 2 million at the moment. So fellas, seems like they're ready for a strike with a late arrival of the rest of Hasta La Vista. Perhaps Hasta La Vista is going to look to play through the tunnels to catch either one of these teams. There's three teams that will have to look for an exit, right? So whichever wants to be out first, they're the ones to be caught. And it looks like it could be Lan. He got 2.4 mil. And immediately dropping some grenades. It's going to be a Molotov now being tossed up from Hasta La Vista. So fellas, are they really going to commit? It seems like they will at least try to pry open some grenades to try to flush out some of these members of Hasta La Vista. And there you go, Lan. Looking to seek them out as they manage to spot hits popping up. The smokes are being put into place. And this is a good smoke for them to look for an alternative route out of the tunnels.
Are they willing? Are they going for out of the tunnels? Because it feels like they will commit to this fight no matter what exit they have available for them. FLS, they try to get out from their Mr. Silo, but knowing the fact there's too many teams in there, gatekeeper by HLV, and they will being gatekept for some time now. So FLS, there's no other way for them than to go back to Mr. Silo and try to reassess the situation, how to get out of here. There's not only one exit point, but if they want to go, the other exit point is quite far, and they have to cut across Boom and nongYing again. So FLS, it's too much at stake here. They still have 4 members alive, but if they can just wait it out and wait for HLV to present themselves in front, thinking that, FLS is already gone, then that might be the best case scenario. But I don't see HLV trying to get away and try to just leave the compound for now. But for Boom and nongYing, it's going to be these two teams right on top of Mr. Solid. There's an extraction point as well. That's crucial to know because nongYing, they can just exit out here. After they know there's too many teams around, they will try to extract themselves as much as people as possible, especially the highest looter amongst them all.
Yeah, they could basically send Martin out of this match and just leave these 3 members to play out what is there here inside of the missile silo. We are in a really tough spot. He's only by the corner of the wall. The nades now come flying in. Gonna be lopped a little short, but there is some chip damage to be done. Jump shot does connect. That Arkong member who's hoping for the ambush will be taken down. Arkong have just arrived to the scene, and despite that, have already been punished on their way in. Boom Esports now will clump with a couple more members to play out on the open areas. We still have fellas to be running right underneath. Still not exiting just yet. So the coast is not clear. But what we love to see here too is all these players are actively involved by taking into this massive spot of missile silo.
At least Team Mantap not being part of this. They lost 2 men early on. So I think they probably, you know what, gonna get the highest value amongst all the teams that's fighting here right now. Because imagine the time they're gonna waste it off and burn out. At the moment they realize there's only 10, like what? Maybe 5 more minutes after we're done with this fight, because right now time's ticking. It's only 10 minutes left. It will take them some time due to the haze of the radiation zone. Plus, there's so many structures in between working out like a maze for these players, and teams will take some time to spot each other out. So that's going to be a lot of time wasted here for Boom, HLV, FLS, and nongYing.
Yeah. And HLV, they no longer play from the bottom end of the underground passage. They want to just find themselves some couple of fights against Boom Esports, which they are, as a matter of fact, winning some of all these exchanges, but although despite not really getting any from a knock or takedown just yet. But it definitely alerts the rest of Boom Esports. Remember this, it hasn't been a good day run for Boom Esports so far. They suffered the same fate as SM9. And they're just hoping to make it out safely, but the push has come true. And the rest of Boom are hunting out for this solo ranger hiding right beneath. Oh, that's one member taken out cold.
And nongYing already ejected one of the highest value player out. So they are the one that actually get the most out of this and get the last laugh here, despite their teammate will be finished off later on. But speaking of Martin, he got himself over a quarter million worth of value still. But for nongYing, Associate trying to make do with against AKG players, finish off the rest of Boom. That's easily, casually steals away those elimination points there. While Associate coming out from the ground floor. And they're trying to find everything that moves. They will try to shoot it down. Martin getting on another one when it comes to the numbers. nongYing will dominate this unless FLS starts to take some action.
Yeah, you just see he casually just runs right through. G9, even from the low ground, he wins the trade, but there's still AKG holding him down. Oh, this is not looking all too good for the side of G9. nongYing members are a little further off from where he's currently at. As Ate, he will eventually be revived by the rest of Hasta La Vista. So probably they will cut their losses as these members of nongYing has managed to clear off members of Boom. You saw how crazy Esselzip was. He just run rampage right across. And now I want to see this battle happening between FLS, HLV, as well as nongYing. I will assume that some of the members of FLS, they won't partake in any of all these battles. The last we saw them, they were trying to cut out of the area of play. But they are looking for a re-entry back into the missile silo. Keep in mind, there's only less than 8 minutes left. A G9 finally being secured by Ate, but the nades are being flown right in. Is that coming from SOZip? It seems to be the case.
Probably with this kind of clustered up together for the team, it's so difficult to call it out who's tossing what and where and who's you're fighting against due to the radiation zone. So whatever silhouette they can actually see through, whatever nade they can see some silhouette tossing over some explosive, they just try to avoid that as much as they can. Up to try to force SOZ down. But as I said, Martin, they got themselves a quarter value for each of the player here. I don't know how much on Martin, but I assume it's going to be almost similar. But it's actually more on Martin, 1.8 million.
Ooh.
He needs to eject himself out now, but that will leave Azuzit by himself.
Yeah, he cannot afford to be taken down. Speaking of which, fellas, now strikes upon the side of Martin, but he is taking this duel all by himself, getting absolutely caught out by these 3 players. Martin, he's going to be definitely worrying for the current state of the squad. Only 1 member remaining at the moment. Fellas, this is going to be their time to shine. Since that they've been able to get that elimination, is only down to Exozip. So Martin's back with that million or so will be sufficient for the side of fellas to dominate this, as they will have the exchange actually being taken, and nongYing, they're already out.
Well, I'm looking at Arya's value here. Because right now on Prem it's 142,000. We do know Prem is always going to be the frag for the team, but they cannot afford to make Arya knock down, finish off entirely. That was super crucial for Prem to save on top of Arya just now. For nongYing, at least that 1 player they ejected, that will cost them around 3 million. Now, that's more than enough for them to maintain consistently getting those points up, right? Despite they might not cash out the remaining 3 million amongst those 2 players that we last seen here, Azuzit and Godard. Martin. But still something out of their run when it comes to this map rotation. But for Boom, they barely got enough here. Only 1.9 million, but he can try to just push the number slightly up with 5 minutes remaining on the clock, and that fellas keep their numbers up. I mean, they have no contention on top of the radiation zone anymore, so they can take all the sweet time. And last time we saw some extraction points on top of the radiation zone, so there's no question here, undisputed for FLS to take away that number 1 spot.
Yeah, and it is all for taking. Fellas definitely played it really smart, where they might have actually moved in a little rather late, and they managed to still, get a couple of loots. When they look for the exit, Hasta Vista was holding them true, and they continuously look for an altitude location to hide out until they reappear, strikes down those members of nongYing, and now just absolutely be the kings of Missile Silo. Hasta Vista, even on their approach, it was so peculiar to me that, even after winning that trade against G9, they didn't really spend more time trying to loot out from so many of all these boxes available. We had Arkong, who was also fighting inside the area. So fellas really gotten everything that was needed for them to really take the top spot home. While with that 1 member remaining coming out from what we saw of Boom, with Raze carrying close to 2 million, that is going to be a very respectable run for Boom Esports this time, managing to make it out alive.
Yep. And the remaining members of HLV, I mean, they're trying to salvage whatever they can. I mean, at least that pen will cost something. There's a couple of cash crates, so maybe the problem with not looting the boxes is not because they don't want to, it's because it's not worth their space, because a high chance it will take them some time to just rearrange all the items that they already got themselves in the pocket here if they find a better loot later. So it will cost them daily of the time when it comes to time limit. One of the most sensitive topic that we're going to have here in Metro Royale, of course. But 3 minutes on the clock, and we still have a couple of players between some of the teams still not ejected themselves out yet. And FLS, they still can push the numbers down here just to get themselves back that number 1 spot.
Yeah, and the last we saw, that was 1 extraction point somewhere in the middle, which 1 member of the side of nongYing has been able to book out from. I wonder if that's still left available. Meanwhile, HLV casually distributing what they've got, and of course, they're definitely brewing something over onto this tiny little shack. HLV, happy days for them. The only reason why we're looking at a negative total earnings is because all the loots are on the floor being exchanged, and of course, they also lost out 1 member in the form of Genie's boy. So we would still see maybe a couple of hundreds if they can bring it closer to 1 million. That would be definitely good news for HLV, as they're just hoping to keep maintenance. As the last we saw of the leaderboards, HLV is currently within the top 4 ratio. So long as they have themselves live, getting a couple of hundreds or a couple of million, they might make it to the grand finals.
Yep, it's all by the end of the day. We get to tally up the scores just to see if they have this final push worth while making it or not. HLV, they will resort to almost 1 million worth, probably just slightly a bit more. But when it comes to timing-wise, keep your eyes on the clock, ladies and gents. 2 minutes on the clock. They have to find themselves extraction point. And hopefully they don't miss anything, because last time we did have those... very blunted moment of some players just missed the extraction point. He spaced right across them.
Yeah, and Fellas ID, they're still looking around for more of all these ticketed items. With the extraction point being so close by, 10 million, that's more than enough. So Fellas ID, they can already make their way out of here. So are they still looking around for the point? Because it's just right outside. Seems like they're running around these corners. Think they should have actually known by now, or else they'll be super panicking with only 1.5 minutes left on the clock.
Oh, no, they never panic. We are the only one that's panicking because we know the time is running out. And this guy's still trying to find some loot till the very, after way past the time is due. So we're the one that panics, and their crew members, of course, because they might ended up as a 0 after all the hard work they put in through this round. But for Avalas Land... I think he's trying to find the extraction point here. I think he knows. So hopefully he knows, because it's going to be less than a minute right now. If this player failed to exit out, there's going to be 0, despite they have the moves when it comes to the numbers here for Avalas.
Yeah, I really hope they do. Now, Ate is going to make his exit as well. Beautiful work coming in from all the squads above. And now it is time for us to get ourselves ready for our final battle. And here we go. It will be Fellas Indonesia to take the top spot, as we did expect them to have another flying round here in MetroRoyale.
Now, this is going to be fun because we do know nongYing and Fellas ID now try to contest for the second spot. Last time we saw it's going to be FaZe Clan and number 1, but with Fellas coming in with almost 12 million worth of value, we don't even add up to their elimination points yet. So... I think they're probably going to push down nongYing to 3rd place by now. Will they finally finish off the day with taking back their number 1 spot to complete their set of run for every single week, 20 points when it comes to the weekly points?
Yeah, that's what we really want to find out. FaZe Clan is the one at number 1 for quite some time, because they've been winning rounds after rounds. So it's really down to the final matchup over on to Misty Port later, to see how much more can the members of Fellas ID get out of the equation. So it's interesting, right, on this specific group, on how it has almost equally distributed initially between Fellas as well as nongYing, until some of all these trades happen. Teams have slowly overwhelmed nongYing, and then that's where they drop a couple of millions on the ground with Martin being eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that nongYing took a bit of charge when it comes to things got really messy when all the teams right on top. You have to give credit for SOZip to take a bit of a charge just to open up some angles for the side of nongYing just now. If not, none of them can make it out alive, especially for the looter coming up from nongYing who tried to extract himself out. But that fight just now on top of the Mr. Silo, it was like, what, 5 teams around, almost 5 teams happened to be on top of it. And the teams that actually engage with the least amount of players do have a bigger advantage in that term, since they're not right on top of the other teams are on the radiation zone area, right? So for Team Mantap, at least, you know, they get to get away from those messiness early on, since they're being charged by the other teams early.
Sure enough, and you know, there's just so many things to factor in, while we were also worried for certain teams that were playing by the outskirts for a little bit. We always wanted to make certain camps happen. Thankfully, you know, like there's already extraction spots in between the missile silos, so it was a smooth run, to say the very least, for Fellas ID. You know, all they really had to do is to recuperate and not really take hits from the side of HLV. So I'm glad that they managed to really steer clear away from danger, so they could still remain to be another squad that has been super consistent, while, you know, nongYing back to their old ways where they get themselves in the heat of I wanted to say argument, but it's not exactly that. They were scattered to really take that fight. So they got to be a little bit more cohesive. If they really want to fight, they got to fight all together as a team. But, you know, they at least have an insurance policy, send that one member out, and then they have the other 3 members to play out. So decent record still.
Yeah, it's always going to be the same case. I think nongYing definitely pick up those strategy from FaZe ID because that's what how they actually play when it comes to week number 2 especially. So nongYing, we can say that they definitely keep an eye close to a sort of FaZe ID strategy and reviewed their gameplay, how these teams making so much points by end of every single round despite being charged and ambushed by the other teams, right? So nongYing picked that up from FaZe ID, perhaps, maybe not. But there's always going to be the case for nongYing and also FaZe ID, the same tactical and same approach of the game here when it comes to the strategy. But for the other teams, of course, we want to see, can they pick up the pace of nongYing and FaZe ID too, the way they play? Because if they do, we're going to expect one player to go for looting, and the rest of the other 3 players will force the battle out way early on.
Yeah, and take a look at the total score lines. Despite having certain members eliminated, nongYing is at number 2 with 7 million. That's a huge stash considering for what it's worth, and also add with that 6 million points. So that's 12 million that will put FaZe ID at the top of the table. HLV, on the other hand, they were the late movers into the missile silo. They are now in the top 3. And interesting enough, this is a new name that we're seeing here coming in from FaZe ID. It's Nada with 7 million in the bag.
Well, his name is nothing, but he's nothing scared of these players. Like, what nongYing, what Boom, what HLV, nada. There you go. It's going to be FLS with 7 million earnings. It's always going to be Aria. I assume Aria's changed the roles here. Give the baton to Nada this time to do the looting work. But when it comes to the match recap, 3 teams on the north, 3 teams on the south, and 1 team on the right side. That's going to be nongYing, who actually get into the missile silo the fastest. But when it comes to timing-wise, the more you stay on top of the radiation zone, the more other teams will want to get into the center too. While Team Mantap, I think, they are pretty smart knowing the fact they have lesser men. So they're just going to chill around Chili Ruins, that's what it's called for, and just exit out afterwards.
Yeah, overall, FaZe ID have definitely set the tone. Well, if you say Nada in Malay, I guess that is where the pun comes in, right? So there we go. Overall rankings, we are still seeing the climb coming in from FaZe ID. Now it's only less than 1 million for them to catch up to nongYing. So this upcoming match will be setting the tone on who will be able to either, 1, overtake both nongYing as well as FaZe Clan, or nongYing to be able to overwhelm FaZe ID to take that number 1 spot home. So our eyes are definitely fixed on these 2 teams to set the top records. While overall, the other side of the chart, I believe that the fight is still on for Boom to catch up to 7-9.
Fingers for Team Mantap. There's going to be some big deal for them. And the last round will change so much when it comes to the course of the top 3. Of course, when it comes to the top 3, it's going to be the most important for them, for their weekly point bonus to get into the grand final. So it's all about the pride for FLS, because right now they want to maintain that number 1 spot to the very end of the group stage, not dropping any of their performance. But for AKG, they are also at the very bottom. Speaking of Group B and C, we finally get to see a different flag flying down there. But FLS, I think it's definitely doable for them to just push up to number 1 as long as they're not being interrupted too early.
Yeah, FaZe Clan, they can only watch and see what happens from here on. But no matter what it is for FaZe Clan, I think even from the past couple of weeks, they've been really setting a different, decent tone onto how they've been able to be very consistent. But you know what? I guess we have to set the tone for ourselves because we got the airdrop carnival on your screen.
It's my turn now. This is going to be my last time to do the airdrop carnival, so I'm going to do my best. PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival is officially open. Call your friends to join a pirate bash and explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area, the Pirates Booty Island. Collect airdrop tokens and head to Airdrop Carnival in-game event and upgrade your airdrop rate to level 5 for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice. So have a great day.
And we have the Galeria Exude, an advanced upgradable MG3 that is now available in store till the 30th of September. Join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfits awards from August all the way till the end of September. The first spin is always at 10 UC, so you can spend 10 UC per day with only and save a whole lot of money and be installed and be absolutely beautiful.
Definitely not a scammer. I believe you're going to. But we're gonna go back to Misty Port, and thank you so much, our director. That's gonna be my last voice acting for you. Hope you had enough of it for now. But for Misty Port, it's gonna be the last run for us group stage as well to close our group stage of the final week 3. Who will stay on top? Who will be in the grand finals? It's down to this last map.
It's all coming down to this to find our finalists into the grand finals. Team Mantap starting pretty strong, found themselves an orb as well as a couple of all these crates. Now taking a look at this situation, Team Mantap will be smack in between fellas, HLV as well as nongYing. So that is definitely interesting. But take a look at Boom ID. They have plenty of space to work with for them to dash right into the mine warehouse. So this could be a very smooth area to play things out.
Speaking of smooth, is it really going to be smooth? Things never going to go in a straight line. You know that, Contra, for a fact.
Yeah,
that's live, and that's going to be the same for the side of this. Gamer are going to have a good start, but we do know with Nada coming into the lineup here, it's going to be a swap of a role for Arya and Nada down here. So I assume Arya will be more engaging and proactive towards those eliminations, but HLV hasta la vista. Out there trying to find some, victims, but unfortunately there's nobody there. Team Mantap, I think it's best for them to just play on the outskirts or on the outsides and surface area, because they do better when they're not contesting too much.
Yeah, and I think that things have been going really well for Team Mantap to really loot by the edges here, considering that there are certain valuable ticket items as they are currently leading right now, 600k already. Off to a really good note, but just have to be careful of HLV, who's over onto the south side at the very same time. So if they stray any further off, they might actually be assigned into a battle against the Malaysian team. So
you know what, Contra?
What's that?
Whenever you say R, I assume you want to say R. I don't know why. I'm so sorry. I get used to that.
The ads are just infectious, and I guess that was the last of it. Even coming from me, the X-Suit is always on my mind too. Oh, which variant is that coming? Slashing from the back. Oh, I think it's just a...
It's just a mutant. I got no time. You're not my level. I was going to say that to the mutants. You're not my level. I don't even want to fight you. Your damage just tickles me. Nothing else can actually do damage from that point of view.
Ooh.
But this is quite interesting when it comes to the rotation of the teams, right? It's not the same as the last one. Everybody got their own objective when it comes to this last map. We assume there might be some peaceful start here unless they prove us otherwise.
Yeah, Fellas ID is off the beaten path, but I would still say that there are some entry points coming from around certain parts of this portion of the map for them to eventually move into the mine warehouse, which is going to be the main goal of all the teams that want to get the high value items. But they're dropping by the corners of Garnet Maison perhaps to still find either a boss to battle, get a couple more loots before journeying their way into that secluded area of the radiation zone. Arkong, though, we are seeing a very different setup coming from them to just hold across the power plant. But it doesn't seem like there is much of a scuffle there. But nongYing, they're giving chase to Boom Esports. Boom, they were early, but the rest of nongYing, they were just on time.
It's gonna get personal with the nongYing and Boom right now because of how nongYing just disrupt Boom in the last round. I'm looking forward for this fight again and this matchup between nongYing and Boom. Last time we saw it was Martin and Asozip that disrupted. Here comes Godot, Martin, and Asozip as a trio. to just take down on Boom, who actually scored himself 2.8 worth of value here. And here comes the confrontation. G9 got one down on Boom, but fought back. It's going to be 1-to-1 trade for now for the knockdowns.
Oh, he's going for the trades as well, almost knocking down that player of Boom. But look at that. The boss is right here to take charge. G9, he could not be safe just yet. Martin, he's got to save his teammate. Oh, that was so close. And thankfully, Goddard is also around, so they can take it down in time.
Speaking of worst case scenario, the spawn of the boss have to be right in front of the players' faces as well. I mean, imagine if Boom have to be fighting against nongYing at the same time when the boss spawn just next to both of them. Now that's going to be super funny, but we're not done yet. Despite they try to play it safe for Hasta La Vista and try to play on the outskirts, AKG are having the same mindset, will contest against HLV right now.
Yeah, HLV, they hold a higher ground with Opte taking a really good angle, but BD's trying to flush him off that position with the grenade. Though it does bounce off, Opte will try to hold his own. We've seen so many of all these incredible individual talent coming in from Opte, so he's absolutely feeling confident about this, but he might be overwhelmed because this whole squad is on his way. And here comes going in for shots, but he will miss a couple. So BD will be able to go in for the punishment. But what is HLV going to respond with? They're just across this corner, and they couldn't really find angles so far.
Confidence is great to have, but you also have to have trust within your teams to actually back you up. If they are not there, there's no point being so confident with your firepower because you're still going to get outnumbered anyway. But for HLV, the repositioning and the angle seems to be pretty solid compared to sort of AKG, who's barely got himself indoors or covers out here. And when it comes to time-wise, still have 30 minutes on the go. But it will take them some time to wrap things around since we're taking this fight from the outside. So there's more space and more distance between these two teams. So the wrap-up between these two fights will take some time and will burn a lot of their looting phase.
Yeah, it's really going to be very costly, not only in the form of time, but whatever value that they can find here is just going to be minuscule, to say the very least. Arkong, they're also spending so many bullets trying to trade right back. And the problem for Arkong is that they can't really get out of this area until they take out the rest of HLV. The only good news is that they took out Ate, which is the biggest threat. We're coming with a little bit of a showing of overconfidence, which sees the player being eliminated. Fuya being very sneaky since the rest of Boom, majority of them has been wiped off. It's only going to be Raze as well as Fuya left. So they can't be running around looting at the moment, but what a shot that was from Genies. It catches on to BD.
It's going to be a long fight here. Genie reposition all the way towards the backside, and I don't think AKG kind of know where he's at. Here comes the surprise attack from the back. It's going to be Genie, surprise AKG, but did not knock anybody down. That's a waste there. The moment you did not instantly those players from the back, that's going to be them try to chase you down. For GD boys, now is hide or be gone forever because it's going to be their last run of the day. We have only 12 more minutes on the clock while nongYing still scored the most out of all the teams. Look at how Team Mantap plays it. You know, they're being smart. You don't want to be part of any scuffle or any maths. And look how much you can actually gain just by looting up.
Yeah, well, everybody is keeping themselves busy trying to take up fights. The Mantap are slowly and steadily overtaking the rest of these squads. nongYing also suffering a couple of casualties, or should I say one member taken out. So Mantap, this is by far one of the better performances to be able to reach that 1 million. But I really want to see what Fellas ID is up to because we haven't really seen too much coming from them. They're currently with 700, but this fight continues on. I'm so cool. Almost getting knocked as well. Very dangerous situation for these players. HLV will have to go in for the revive. So AKG, despite taking these mid to long range battle, they are actually slowly and surely winning the trade.
AKG, they still have plenty of man here. 4 players. HLV, on the other hand, 2 players will be charged and chased down. So cool! So cool. Can he actually pull out a cool flashy ending against HLV? Well, HLV do have a shot at taking them down. It's a good fight and it's a good trade-off, but GD Boy is a bit too far to give some cover fire from the back and a bit too late for the rescue mission too, but it's still doable as long as he got himself some troubles. That's doable. 5 smokes to just revive on his members, which could be Hin and HLV surrounded by AKG. Oh, this is going to be the fight that we talked about here, wasting so much of their time. 20 more minutes, which means it's going to be 10 more minutes left for the loot phase, and they barely got anything in their bag.
Yeah, they just burn out all this time, only with 10 more minutes to actually stash up whatever they could. So I think it's wise right now for these two to eventually part ways. Well, you know, I was thinking of a joke where if Armstrong could have a brother, probably the name would be Lick So Hot. Sorry,
What?
it's a bad one. It's a really bad joke.
Yeah, leg so hot is nice too. I mean, leg so warm and leg so hot, leg so long. Which one, whatever you want to feel like doing it. It's punnable names. So yeah. But Monkey, basically it's Monkey. I don't know if you can put a pun on top of his name too, but AKG definitely not having fun here. While they are taking all these eliminations away, they're wasting so much time with the looting phase. And HLV down to 1 player, Ginny. I think Ginny just resolved to taking some loot right on top of where they were fighting against just now. And AKG, with only 9 more minutes left, if they want to get into the radiation zone, it's doable. But nongYing taking the charge at over 5 million already and heading into the 6 million mark. Now, FLS, surprisingly, despite it playing it quiet, we don't see the numbers going as much as nongYing. I think they're just going to give away the radiation zone to a side of nongYing, not taking too much of a risk. And try to just wait it out around the tunnel exit area while nongYing will try to escape later on. They will ambush them from behind.
Yeah, I feel that is going to be the case.
It's happening right now?
Yeah. And nongYing,
Okay.
Martin, does he know that there's going to be a Raze hiding on that very corner? His arm is actually jutting out, if you did notice. And Martin is just next to him. He does not know. There's 2 of these members. Oh no, nongYing. You gotta turn around. You gotta check. Goddard. He's not taking notice just yet. He's just gonna let the rest of these members of nongYing pass. I think there is a trap being set up here. And Raze, he's going for the catch. It's gonna be Goddard down on the ground. Marty now will be on higher alert, but that player won't be eliminated. One massive takedown from Raze to turn the tides around, and that's what Boom has been waiting for. They've been hiding on those corners for the longest time because they were late into looting that mine area.
Yeah, they did this. They definitely, like, nongYing did this before to its Boom, if I'm not mistaken, and now they get to hit them back. Like, how Karma gonna do it, like, against nongYing? And the tunnel is so dark. There's so many corners for you to hide, and the players can't see the name tag like we do, so there's definitely no clue or whatsoever information that's lurking around the corners of these tunnels. So that's why nongYing is always super cautious when it comes to getting out of the radiation zone for this particular reason. Same goes for Boom, because they've been playing other teams like this, how they're doing here right now.
Yeah, all they have to do is just buy time just to loot up from Goddard, and they should be well on their way out while zoning off the entirety of Boom Esports completely. So consider that there's not too many losses involved. But the problem is, nongYing, they only have 2 members left. I see Arya's name somewhere through the tunnel. Is this going to be a second setup? Oh, Fella's ID. Arya. He's going to be waiting. Got it. They need to take notice of this. Oh, there we go. The strikes onto Esso. And nongYing, they might walk away with no points.
Oh.
And shots perfectly landed onto Martin. Martin's got to keep himself safe. They already used so many smokes. They managed to trade right back. Thankfully, he clips onto Arya. So that is going to be that saving grace. Oh, he's a hero.
Oh man, for nongYing, I feel so bad for them. Left, right, and center. There's going to be always one team trying to take them down. You already lost 2 members against Boom just now, and now they have to fight against FLS next. And Aria, there's no backup here. If only Aria can have another sharpshooter for the backup fires, they can actually just steal away nongYing values of plays. And when it comes to nongYing, they were at the most of valuable lists just now, dropped down all the way towards the 4th place.
Yeah, and look at this. Such a late approach coming from Fellas ID. They are pulling off the craziest plan of a heist, where they are now slightly ahead of all these members of nongYing, or should I say, definitely ahead, because nongYing, they got crumbled down by Boom Esports, while Arkong slowly salutes from the outskirts and find themselves 1 million. It's all about who survives to tell the tale here in the tunnel passage. Raze is still holding out. Does Fellas knows, because Aria, he was limping early on, and they have that trait going true. So Fellas on high alert. Pram, his head was jutting out. Raze, he's gonna lock his angles right there. There you go. Beautiful shots connecting.
It's all about execution, and Pram bleeding out, but managed to reset himself. Plenty of healables right now. 4 minutes on the clock. Now it's going to be all about the time. Yeah, the battle, real battle is against the time. Now, regardless of no matter how much they actually score themselves in these eliminations and also on top of this tunnel, but if none of them manage to secure any extraction point, it's going to be a trouble brewing up for them. The only team will win this is going to be Team Mantap, perhaps.
Yeah, it might just actually be Mantap, or perhaps even Arkong, who's on the outskirts, who's got 1.6k right now at this moment. So it's really down to this duel. How long is Raze willing to wait? He's really locking out the rest of Fellas from doing anything at all. But no matter what the cost is, they will have to push through. And now they will. 3 minutes, 50 over seconds remaining. And I see another squad on that further end. I believe that to be in blue. Actually, no, that was Pram. So it's still these 2 teams. Aria, I'm just surprised that he managed to stay alive, because earlier nongYing managed to knock him down. So good recovery from the side of Fellas. This 2.8 million might still dwindle to nothing if they don't get out of this place.
Yep. Finding the green smokes of extraction point will be the best feeling ever for the players here right now. But unfortunately, it's going to be a standoff still on top of this tunnel. And Boom Puya is still not willing to give it away. Aria right on top of the cross there. Reposition for Boom. FLS from the front and from the back. Pram and Nada on the other side. We have Aria waiting at the other end as well. Then Raze, I feel like now Boom being sandwiched 2 ways here. I don't know how they want to do it by themselves with 2 players remaining on top of Boom. But Pram, who knocked down to only 50% of HP. Boom have to get out. I mean, now they're being gatekept instead.
Yeah, this is so awkward. I mean, if Fellas really want to wrap it up quickly, they could just have these 2-2 split that will be pushing all together to just wrap things up. Arkong, they already got 1.5 M, so they're going to look out of this one. Shots now being fired towards members of Boom, and they managed to actually find a catch onto land. This is going to be a tough ordeal. Boom, they need to get out of here. Same goes to Fellas. Honestly, Fellas, they don't really have to fight this one out. The remaining members should look for an exit already, but the Molotovs are stopping them on their tracks. Fuya is the only one left. The raid will be abandoned right now because there's not going to be enough time. Pram now tries to make a dash for it, steps onto the fire and flames. Fuya still trying to trade back. He's not going down with that fight. Boom. They've already secured 5 elimination points, looking for 6. Aria holding down throughout, and that will be it. Fellas now gets the clear. They need to run now, right here, right now.
1 minute on the clock, 1 minute to the seconds to be exact. But when it comes to numbers wise, they dropped plenty of the numbers down there. Last time we saw they had more. And nongYing, unfortunately, well, at least they don't go empty-handed. But that means that they will not take away that #1 spot since FLS on the rise. Now, remember the last time we hit the numbers for overall rankings. FLS, if they score more than 5 million, it's an absolute certain that they will take away the first place again when it comes to the final week.
Yeah, they managed to regain that 6 million through all these crates, but they need to get out of here. 1 minute left. I'm concerned for fellas. They're still pretty far away. They're still looking for stash.
50 seconds.
They just got to book out. I mean, they should know by now. With 6 million in their pockets, that's good about enough for them to be that #1 team. So all about getting over onto this lane. Come on, Prab. You don't have time. You just got to keep moving. 30 seconds. Do we have Molotovs? I mean...
Ooh, this is tight.
Oh, this is going to be really hard. No.
20 seconds. I don't know how far the extraction point from where they stand, but I just hope the moment they pop their heads out towards the exit here, there's going to be one. Because 50 seconds left here. And where's the extraction point?
It's so far off.
Oh, no. It's too far. It's going to be not enough time. That's it. It's gone. All the points gone for FLS. It's nothing by the end of the day. That's it. Woo!
Oh, no. It's just so heartbreaking. Fellas, they could have actually used this round to try to overtake members of FaZe Clan. They saw the smoke, but this is going to be the end of it. It's already past the 10-minute point. And with that being said, despite all the effort, despite the elimination, despite the 6 million, it goes down the drain. And that can only mean one thing, Choo Choo. It's Arkong at #1.
Oh, in this map, of course, but when it comes to the overalls, FLS, they ended up with a 0. It means FaZe Clan will break their streak of every single week at #1 spot. Oh my god, FLS, what a blunder when it comes to the time in the very last minute. If only they just stopped looting just now and just trying to go for the extra 20 seconds to find the extraction point. It ended up as a 0 run. That's going to be a rare sight, but it's FLS happened to be in the spot of the other teams always have this blunder too. And like, it's a rare scene, but hey, FLS, they did once too, you know?
Yeah. And they were just about 1 minute off. So it is going to be Arkong there that actually wins by bagging that 1.5 million. So they played it smart. They played on the outskirts. And who would have actually thought out of all these names, it was going to be Arkong to be able to stash the final win out there. So kudos to them, you know, like they get themselves some good, healthy amount of points. But
and that was worth, but wait, that was almost worth 10 million that went down the drain for the side of FLS. It's painful to watch at that point. And all three of them didn't manage to that was like what? Around 20 meters, less than 20 meters apart from an extraction point. They finally get to see that green smoke. They thought that they had one on top of the exit point of the tunnel. Just now they popped the smoke straight off. It caused them to, I don't know, did that smoke kind of cost them time too, just to find that green area of extraction point around that corner?
Yeah, and you know, like most often than not, you will see players denying themselves by just using Molotovs or grenades. But the problem is, they already fought so long underneath the tunnel, so all these resources were depleted. There's no more grenades, there's no more Molotovs, so they had to make that walk of shame towards the extraction point. So it definitely was very, very heart-wrenching when it comes down to how things have actually resulted in such, where Boom was part of the casualty, nongYing was part of the casualty as well, and then we the last see, you know, fellas surviving but not really booking out. It's just tough. Sometimes these kind of things can happen when you go for those late game fights. So once again, timing is everything. Yeah. Boom.
Thanks to Boom and thanks to nongYing, and things just went down the drain at the very last minute. Speaking of making things harsh for the end of our run in the group stage, what an ending here, what a wrap up we have for the last map of the entirety of the group stage before we head into the grand finals. That means things get really spiced up for the grand finals if they keep this going as well, Contra.
Yeah, now it's time for us to really find out who actually makes the last minute cut. With Arkong winning this one, maybe they might have a chance. I don't know. But of course, we'll tabulate all of the results. But we asked for drama. We did manage to get a dramatic finish to actually end our run here in the group stages. It's been some excellent weeks that we've seen in terms of action from the qualifiers heading into the group stage, and now only 6 teams remain. So I guess for the record, there's about 3 names that we can be very certain of making it through to the finals. One such team is FaZe ID, although that dramatic ending probably hurt them a little bit, but they're still within probably the top spot. So other than that, FaZe Clan's looking really, really good this week. Of course, joining them, it probably could be nongYing as well. But who are the other 3 that you will expect to make it through?
I mean, I don't know about nongYing personally because, nongYing, when it comes to the final week, they did great. But I don't know if their week 1 and week 2 performance will be enough, because last time I saw when it comes to week number 1, it wasn't that great, right? They're at the very bottom, so when it comes to the weekly points, it's not going to be as much. Week 2, not really the best yet, but kind of balanced out. This is the best week for nongYing when it comes to final week. So you talked about FaZe Clan, nongYing, and possibly nongYing, right? And of course, fellas ID. Don't forget about Boom. Boom and Sun 9. Week 1, they're doing great, but it's just they didn't score the number 1 spot and had some forced brawls between the teams that trying to gatekeep them around the extraction area. But when it comes to points in the middle pack, it's pretty hard and pretty tough to call out who will make it to the top 6.
Yeah, I think it will be very, very close. I hope that the teams that really put up so many of all these expected goals throughout the past couple of weeks will be able to be rewarded, because there's more prizes to be won. They're in the grand finals, but it's time for us to find out with match rankings before we reveal to you the overall standings of the match.
Yep, and without question here, despite they almost scored themselves 10 millions for FLS, but unfortunately ended up with a 0 with their failure to extract themselves out to get booted from the map. But AKG, congratulations. I mean, AKG coming back strong when it comes to the final week, despite they had many blunders, like how FLS did today. That happened to AKG in the first week too. So it's irony to have AKG to first place this time, while Boom got themselves without team earning, but still their player elimination plays a big part on this total points. Compared to Team Mantap, no player elimination, but hey, at least they got some progress themselves when it comes to this map rotation. Unfortunately, HFA and FLS did not make any point progress at all. But what's really matter here, not just the chosen one, also when it comes to overall rankings later. And it's a rare sight to have AKG to have the MVP.
That's right, and of course, it's a big bounce back for AKG in general. So great job to BJ, where he has been able to really look around every corner of the map that's not going to be in the radiation zone to add up this 1.7 million into the bank accounts of Arkong. So I am hopeful for the side of Arkong with this form of performance to at least add very decent numbers to the bonus points that they can actually tally up for this weekend. But when we totaled it all together, how was the performance of the Arkong members throughout the past couple weeks? Some were shaky, some were decent. They were not as hot as compared to names like FaZe Clan or so. But even despite that, they have really proved to show up when it mattered the most.
I love this match recap, by the way, just to look at how the rotation of each of the single player and single team as a unit. Team Mantap just had enough for brawls here today. They're just going to leave around the left side of the map by themselves, except for Miss. Miss seems to be a bit adventurous, going all the way to his FLS players there. But AKG, HLV, we do know how long the fight between these two teams for the longest time, but look at where FLS was. They're taking a bit of longer time in Mines Warehouse, and they managed to get themselves some loot, but the problem is where Boom happened to be in the middle and nongYing too. They got crammed down, and unfortunately they just couldn't extract themselves out. But when it comes to FLS, they have to settle with third place. If not, they will be already taken to first place by end of today and manage to continue this streak of #1 3 weeks in a row.
And right now, it will seem like FaZe Clan will be able to take that title of #1 here in week 3. So not much has changed from where we left up on the top 3, nongYing on 2nd, FLS on 3rd, but ETS definitely have gotten a lot of points throughout the course of the week. 11 million for HLV to make it to the top 5, and congratulations to Boom. They also squeezed through up against Sem9 to make it into the top 6, which will push Sem9 into the 7th position.
Now we get our overall rankings when it comes to this second page. Yes, 7th place, 9. When it comes, I do want to tally up when it comes to the weekly points for each of the teams, though. But I don't think Team Mantap can make it through because there's been multiple times they are at the very bottom for Metro, Mini as well as MCR. I think it's pretty tough to call it out for them. Prime as well, so there comes the bonus point. Congratulations to MLS, FaZe Clan, Boom, HLV, ETS, and nongYing to be in the top 6 up here.
Wow, it was a tie between ETS as well as nongYing after all, as they will be playing in the upcoming week. Congratulations to them. And of course, we thank all the other participating teams here in the group stages to, of course, have a whole lot more fun. And thank you for joining us throughout the group stages. And these are your finalists in the top 6 that will be performing on September 7th.
Yep, we have different flags. Only one Malaysia representative coming up from Hasta La Vista, HLV. Sem9 was like 7 points of a gap. Unfortunately, didn't make it through the last minute. Yeah, but there's going to be a super fun grand final. Don't forget to watch it on the 9th of September because they will be back here for the last brawl between the teams when it comes to the Metro Royale mode. Fellas ID, FaZe Clan, Boom, HLV, all of them are looking forward to fight against each other with Zombie Uprising and Arctic Base. We go back to the basic of the maps and we have the 10th map, Misty Port. There's only 5 maps that day, but the same rotation of 6 teams. There's going to be a lot of zombies to fight against for these teams, top 6.
Wow, only 5 maps to play out, and it's going to be a fair game where we'll see the same 6 teams to be racking up as plenty of points as they could possibly get. Now, what's really interesting to also know that we will definitely get a mixed bag of fights as well as the tug of war for loots as well as control for the area, and maybe with HLV being involved as well, we might see those late game cheeky plays. So I am already excited for the grand finals, Choo. I can't wait.
Yep, of course, we're gonna have to wait and see if, especially when it comes to the final week progress, right? We'll get to see some contention for Fellas ID. So definitely going to be a super roundy run. It's so many ways to play Metro Royale. I do want to see if they pull out any secret strategy when it comes to the grand final. Will there be some new approach into the Metro Royale mode as well, coming up from the creativity of the players and teams itself?
Yeah, that's what we all are looking forward to see. And of course, you guys will have to mark their calendars because it will be happening over on the course of the next weekend, as we can't wait to see who will be the champions of Metro Royale, the first ever champion. So it could be from Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia. So of course, with that being said, it's Contra Choo Choo signing out, and we'll see you guys in the grand finals.